Hello.
Hello, friends. Hi, everyone. Want to say hi to everyone in chat. This is the R&R Show, the pre-show. As you can see down below, we're going to be talking about the top 10 couples games, but let me change that real quick because you're watching the pre-show, friends. This is a wonderful episode. We got a very special guest. First, I want to introduce my co-hosts, Ray and Chris. Hi, Ray and Chris. Long time no see.
Hi, Ruel. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Everyone.
Yes, everyone. Gets
Oh
a happy
my
Valentine's
goodness.
Happy
Wow.
Valentine's Day to everyone.
Day. And why don't we say happy Valentine's Day to our very special guest, Raina from Pandasaurus. Hi, Raina.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. This is absolutely one of my most favorite holidays, so I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah,
Ooh.
nice. And friends in chat, let us know. Again, we are recording this live, obviously, and we would appreciate your help. Audio and video checks, if everything. Hopefully, everything looks okay. I mean, I'm surrounded by three very good-looking people, so I look better because of them. But
Oh,
let me know
dang.
how we sound, because I know I have a big mouth sometimes. Let us know how the volume is going, folks. Like, I can hear everyone, but hopefully everyone can. Okay, Chris and Ruel seem quiet. John Tripp says.
Oh,
"Thank
that's
you,
just because I
John."
wasn't saying anything, John. That's
Yeah.
probably why.
Well, while Ruel is fiddling with the audio, because apparently Raina and I sound fine. Raina, you said this is one of your favorite holidays. Do you have like a Valentine's Day tradition or like a favorite? What makes Valentine's Day your favorite holiday?
I have just always been such a big romantic, so just anything having to do
Yeah.
with love, whether it's romantic, platonic, I absolutely love. And as for any traditions, Phil and I, who is my new husband, we just got married this
Ooh.
December.
Oh my
Hey,
goodness.
congratulations.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Let's throw some love in
Thank
chat. Let's drop
you.
those
Didn't
heart
he
emojis for
also,
Raina and Phil.
correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he propose like with the space base or like with a board game? Or am I making that up? Okay.
I love
Yeah.
this
So
story.
cute. Oh,
Yeah, if
so
may I just tell
cute.
the story real
Oh,
quick?
absolutely. Take
Please
Yeah,
do.
Yeah, we're
tell it
That's
real
why I
long.
brought it up.
Yes.
Yeah, so Phil was the one who actually introduced me to modern board gaming. He had been hobby gaming for long before he met me, and the first thing that we played together was Space Base. So when he wanted to propose, he basically made his own little Space card that said, if you activate this card, then ask Reina Medina to marry you, and if she says yes, then you both win.
I'm gonna cry right
And
now.
it's great because, we did content creation before, we still do, so we were filming, and it wasn't super obvious that it was gonna happen. I mean, I had a feeling 'cause you talk about these things,
For
but it
sure.
wasn't just like, "Let's just film a video." It was not out of the ordinary, so
Mhm.
yeah.
It's so cute. Oh my goodness.
Best
I
story
I
ever.
I love when board games get like folded into special moments like that. We got a request to make a special blank slate like pregnancy announcement earlier this year, and it was just, oh, it just makes me so happy. It's so
Nice.
this hobby is so special and so important to people that it's such an honor as a publisher when like a couple or a family chooses to announce like such a big moment with like your game. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah,
but
I never even thought of that from the publisher side of things. I just thought about the romance itself,
I mean,
but
it's yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
no,
absolutely.
but like being able to go the extra mile as a publisher, that's also like really special
For
of
sure.
creating like special cards or people printing them out themselves or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, it's super cool because John DeClaire, who is a designer of Space Base, he's actually local to us. He's only about an hour north of
Oh,
us.
cool.
So
Oh, cool.
Good.
Phil got his input via email, but we met him in person. But anyway, he got his input on like what sort of card would make the most sense mechanically, which is such a
That's
nerdy
a
thing to
that's
say.
Nice.
adorable. Oh my god. That's everything.
Oh, I love that.
That's awesome. I saw on Facebook. I've seen a couple of these posted just in terms of like making specific cards. I think I saw some for Everdell, and then I saw some for Wingspan. And the
Yes.
couple they proposed to each other in the
Shut
same
up.
game of Wingspan
What?
with a
Shut up.
special card.
Oh,
It was like they both made a card. Well, I think one person proposed, and then the other person was like, "Wait, just a second," and then
Wait,
like ran and got their
stop
card.
it.
Like it
Oh
wasn't the
my
same day. Like it
god.
wasn't the same day, but like
amazing.
well, then they had the two cards side by side, and they were both like the lovebirds, or one was lovebirds and one was like birds of
I
paradise or
can't.
something,
That's so
where they're
That's so
perfect.
together.
cute.
And one was like, ask this person, will they spend the rest of your life? If you do, like you both win. And then I I
I'm
of
gonna
course was like, yeah, but mechanically, which one's better? Which who's the reacher? Who's
Chris.
That's
settling
so
here?
God, that makes my heart so happy.
Oh,
But real quick before I forget, I totally derailed that conversation, Rainey. You're gonna talk about a tradition that you and Phil have. I got distracted by
Mm.
your
It's
proposal
okay.
story.
distracted by love.
Um,
I
yeah,
know.
we always do dinner and a movie because we actually met at a
Cute.
movie theater working part-time, so we love stuff like that.
The more I learn about this relationship, the cuter it is. Oh my god.
Yeah, can we all be a part of it? I think that's what's happening right now.
I am a diehard monogamist, but if I ever decide to try polygamy, I'll let you
It'll
know.
be this panel. This
It'll
this
be
this
this
this,
panel.
this
This
You're
group
here,
of
panel
host.
people.
Oh,
only.
hell yeah.
The R&R show. One stands for romance, and the other stands for relationship.
There you go.
Exactly.
Oh, Rain, I guess I should have warned you. This is what you're in store for the next 2
Yeah, now
hours.
that we've
My
made you thoroughly
apologies.
uncomfortable.
But thanks to everyone for joining us today. Again, a shout out to all our BGG friends who are joining us from the BGG page. Thank you for joining us as well. Come on over to the Twitch channel. You can hang out with us here, and I can put comments like this on screen if you're in Twitch. Griff Dog said this is a great romance story, talking about Phil and Raina. I gotta say too, Raina posted some photos last year of their engagement photos. I loved those. Knowing that Raina and Phil had met at a movie theater. Raina, I don't know if you want to share anything. I'm totally throwing it out there, but if you want to share stories about your engagement photos, which I loved.
Yeah, so we had actually two different engagement shoots. Our first one was done by our very good friend Tim Chuan, who I'm sure y'all
Oh
know,
my
who
god.
does professional photography and videography in the industry. So that very first one, we actually did it board game focused, because of course. So we had two games in there that are also very like near and dear to us, which is Santorini and Dice Throne. Um,
Mm.
so we had shots of playing that, and then our second engagement shoot with our wedding photographer, we rented out a small movie theater, and
Cool.
we're able to get
Oh
some
my
shots in
god.
there. So it was like super glam, super luxe. It was just awesome. I'm
Sick.
obsessed with photo shoots now. I ask Phil, I'm like, can we just do one every year? Like, this is great for my self esteem.
Oh, I haven't seen those. That sounds so cute. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Well, that's a new anniversary tradition. You all pick your game of the year. You get the photo shoot done, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Wait, you're onto something.
Done. And then also you can write it off. It's content
There
because
you
you're doing
go.
it because it's the game of the year.
There you
But
go.
then you've got the glam
Ding,
photos. The
ding.
publisher's going to want to share it. Maybe the publisher can get
That
involved because
tax
they're
season
really,
brain.
you can showcase the game a little bit, but you're always there, just like keep behind.
As soon
Everything
as
is
you said
content.
write off, I was like, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Mhm,
That's the
mhm.
true love right there, the tax write-off.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's just I love hearing the stories again. I love love. And so it's great. Thank you for sharing that, Raina. Folks,
I hate love, but
uh,
today I'm making an exception.
there
So
it is,
it's
yeah.
okay.
Folks, we got a great show coming up. You are watching the pre-show here. We're just hanging out, getting to know Raina better. And also, we're going to hang out with you all. If you have questions or comments, throw them in the chat. We'll answer them as they go. We have Richard join us via the magic of video. And we're doing something a little different today because Richard is actually on a boat, literally on a boat in Mexico right now. So he
Of
wasn't
course
able
he
to
is.
finish the portions where he talks about the games, but we're gonna have him join right before we record the show in a pre-show bit, and then he'll join us at the end in the post-show bit as well. But you'll see that as we go along here. But let's get back to Raina and talk a little bit more about how you got into this whole board game industry thing, Raina, because this wasn't your career path at first. Is that right?
That's correct. I actually completed a nursing program a couple years ago, so I was fully preparing to be a nurse right now. So I started doing board game content on TikTok, like when the pandemic started, because what were we all doing? What was everyone my age doing? They were on TikTok. So I just thought, like, I don't really see any board game content on here. I thought it would be fun to make it. And at first, it was just like me doing little like TikTok dances with like board games and stuff. And then it became something bigger than I could have ever imagined. And then, so through my TikTok work, I started doing contract work with Pandasaurus Games. I was actually managing their TikTok for a bit on the side. And then, when they had lost their marketing manager at the time, they had asked me to step up and do social media management. And eventually, They still couldn't find someone to fill the marketing manager's shoes. So they asked me to interview for the position. And I was like, I am very, very flattered, but I am literally about to graduate from this really expensive, really hard nursing program. So I'm not sure right now. And then I talked to Phil about it, had a conversation because we were like, this is going to be really, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, honestly. I don't have a marketing
Yeah.
degree. I don't have, like experience on paper really.
Yeah.
And so we were able to make it work. And I accepted the full-time job for Pandasaurus the same month that I graduated from my program. And it's going to
That's
be 2 years
crazy.
this July.
Well,
Wow.
congratulations. That's
Wow.
amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, that that's just so cool. That's I definitely understand that. I was not in an, like you know, what's the term? When you're not after undergraduate, like a graduate school, duh. I wasn't in like graduate school or anything like that, but I was in undergraduate when I started my work in the board game industry, and there definitely was that moment of like, do I finish this, or do I take this opportunity?
Yeah.
That's something that I can definitely relate to, and it's I feel like nobody has a normal path into this space and into this industry. It very much is just about when you have that moment, taking it and running with it, but it's super scary, especially after you've invested all this time and money into something like a nursing degree, which is incredibly impressive. Yeah, I just have a lot of respect for you making that decision, and kind of
I,
following your heart, I guess, and doing something creative and yeah, just being in this space after working so hard for another degree. I can definitely relate to that.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I think I've seen a lot, like a big movement, I guess, of board game companies sort of hiring content creators or media
Hmm.
folks to be full time. And I think because I get questions all the time about like, how can I do this full time? And it's all about building relationships because through building that relationship with Pandasaurus, they were able to see, all of my soft skills and how they could be translated into hard skills. And like, that's what it's all about, honestly.
Totally, totally.
Mhm.
As
I
you know,
agree.
I think we've talked about this before, Raina. Before, we've talked about similar subjects, but as a fellow Filipino American, we deal with our parents, and like a lot of us do, right? But going from what they would typically think is a solid profession of nursing into the board game industry, I'm sure you were met with, I don't know if it's resistance is the right word, but maybe questioning your decision. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Again, you don't have to, but maybe share some insight on that.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I'm very lucky because my mom had me very young. She had me at 17. And my parents are very Americanized, so they don't really fall in line with the typical um, Asian parent stereotype of like, you must go into medical school and this
Yep.
and that. So that's like the easy answer. They've always been very supportive of what I do. But the funny answer, like, I don't really mean this, but like, I was like kind of a disappointment from the beginning. And what I mean by that is like, I don't really believe that. But so when I did undergrad, my initial major was farm sci. I wanted to be a pharmacist.
Oh,
And
Really
after that
cool.
first year, I was like, I am not doing that. So I changed majors to English literature. And then I
oh,
was like, okay, well, I don't want to teach. So then I went to computer science. And then I was like, oh my God, I don't like
Whoa.
coding. And then so then I withdrew. And then so my parents were just like, oh, you finally figured something out. We are just so happy for you.
They're used to all the
Just
changes. It's
emigrate.
nothing
nice.
You've
surprising.
agreed.
That's
Yeah, it is
awesome.
weird to have to explain because, my mom specifically was so excited when I did my nursing program. So she was telling all my family members. So it has been weird to explain to them at Christmases, like, yeah, I'm a nurse. No, I actually work for marketing for a board game company. And yeah.
Yep. No, I definitely can relate to that, especially if I don't know if you still have friends in like the medical profession at all, but like my partner's in medical school, so I'm constantly like around people who've taken this like very intense, very academic life choice path, and I'm just like, nah, man, I just talk about board games on the internet, like I don't know, like there definitely is that, and then they follow up and they're like, oh, well, like, did you go to school for marketing? And I'm like, no, I just ended up here, and you it comes kind of with time, this ability to sort of own that decision of being like, because it is sort of weird to be like, no, I just left this and chose to just follow my passion, and you can be like as comfortable and happy with that as you want, but sometimes people don't understand that decision. So yeah, no, I can definitely understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been so awesome. I mean, we were talking about it a little bit before we went live, but I've met so many amazing people through this industry, whether it's on the media
Totally.
side or the publishing side. This weekend, I'm friends with Shu and Christina from the Going Analog podcast, and they had this whole, we called it SnowCon. So we rented a cabin in Big Bear and just
Cute.
holed up
Nice.
there for like 4 days. And it was awesome. And just to be able to experience things like that with people who also play, hobby board games, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
Oh my
What
God,
was your
absolutely.
favorite game that you played at SnowCon?
Ooh. Um, you know what? I have to say that this is an expansion, but I played Ark Nova with the Marine Worlds expansion.
Oh,
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, that was awesome because have you guys played it before?
No,
not
I
the
I
know
played
of
the
it.
expansion.
expansion now.
I know the flow,
Okay.
but
They basically added like some cool asymmetry in there. And it was also great because we had played it with people who already knew how to play the base game. And so it hits different when you start playing a heavy game with people who already know how to play it.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Get into it
helps.
real quick.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
I love the name SnowCon. I've always wanted to do one of those like those board game retreats. I hear people doing them all the time. It's just a matter of
What's stopping you,
actually.
Ray?
I don't know. I have to organize stuff. I'm like the least organized person
Here's
in the
here's
world,
all you
and
do. You Google, you go to
mm-hmm.
Airbnb,
All
you
right,
look
I'm
within
doing
an
it
hour
right now.
radius. Yeah, you can do it right now. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. You look within an hour radius of your place. You see what's cheap. If you say, "Wow, that's expensive," even after you divide it by a number of people, you look at the 2 hour radius. Uh,
Thank you for the play-by-play, Chris.
Right? Well, and then you book it. You invite your friends. No, you invite your friends first, and then you book it.
I was gonna
Uh,
say, what if the scheduling doesn't work
See,
out and
well,
no
that's
one
why
can
we got to
make
go play
it?
by play. That's why we got to go play
Ah.
by play, Ray. You on my flow. I got all screwed up. I got turned around. No, it's awesome. Like any of these sort of game playing conventions, though, like they're my favorite. They're my favorite style of convention, right? Like I've done
Mhm.
I've done the get-togethers like that. Our friend Kadri did all the legwork and booked it, so it was KadriCon, and now it's officially KadriCon. Her namesake
Hell yeah.
is spread across the land, or at least to our immediate sort of neighborly friend group. But yeah, they're the best. They're the best cons. Like taking something like a CadriCon that you just bring your own games, you just devote your time to that weekend. I just did Level Up the last weekend as well. That was a
Nice.
friggin' blast. I ran a World Series of Board Gaming event there while I was there. But even World Series of Board Gaming, like anything that's like focused on just playing the games that have that like
Yeah.
open gaming area, whether you bring it yourself. I did one outside Niagara. If anybody's in the Niagara Falls region, there's a great one called Niagara Board Gaming Weekend. It's in Grimsby, Ontario, because we just rented a hotel room. Everybody brings a big sack of games. I brought
Nice.
stuff that I thought might be hot that people might want to play, and I just left it on the side. And I was like, "Go at it!" People would be like, "Hey, who's this?" I'd be like, "Go play, enjoy." And they'd be like, "Oh, thanks." Like
Aw,
it's a
that's
huge just
so
community,
nice.
because I think like as board gamers, like as much as we love purchasing and running around and talking about the next purchases and whatever, what gets to the heart of it is playing the games and actually just like sitting down and getting to enjoy
Yep.
and creating community. And like literally every person who I played with at Level Up was awesome. I got to meet like a bunch of people who know me from Room and Board, YouTube, and all that sort of stuff. But like every single person there, top-notch people, chef kiss people, like, but it's true. And I've only found that with these sorts of like specifically game playing conventions, because people are there because they've taken that time and they want to enjoy the hobby,
Mm,
Yeah.
and being able to
God.
just enjoy it and be in a room with people is great. And so like doing it on whatever scale, whatever like sort of tier of scale, right? You have the snow cons and cadre cons. You have the Niagara Board Gaming is a little bit next step, because there's no library. It's everybody still brings their stuff, but at least you rented a hotel and there's like 300 people. And then Level Up was kind of like next step to that, because they had a library and they had a bunch of different events, right? And then something like World Series has an open gaming ticket or like tournament play, but that's all the same thing
Yeah.
in terms of like
Yeah.
these tiers of size, but it still all feels the same, which I think is really really cool and always really
Yeah.
special to do. So Ray,
Hell yeah.
when I ask you again, when are you planning RayCon 2024? It's 2024. It's not 2025. It is 2024. It's
All
able to
right.
be
All
planned.
right.
When's
No,
it
I really
happening,
want
Ray?
to,
Yeah.
especially like, and I don't know if Raina, you can speak to this at all. Like once you enter the industry and like you work full time in the space, like your Gen Cons, your PAXs, they all become really work focused and you
Mhm.
lose that you're here to just play games and hang out. And it's a really hard adjustment to make. And so I feel like now that I'm like settled in at the op, right, and everything, I want to try to really set aside that time for smaller game playing cons because I need it. I don't get that at Gen Con anymore or at any of the other major shows. And I do miss it. I do kind of get weirdly jealous of people when they come out of Gen Con and they talk about all the games they played. I'm like, I demoed the same game 50
Yeah.
times. And I'm very grateful, obviously, to
Yeah.
have work at conventions and stuff, but it is a very different experience. And there is a little bit of a hole in my heart left. When that experience gets taken away from you.
Yeah, I completely agree. So part of my job is events planning as well. So
Oof,
no one
yeah.
could have prepared me for honestly like the 12 to 16-hour workdays at conventions because and I really I love my demo staff so much. So I'm always making sure that they're okay before I'm okay. But even after, the hall hours, the opening and closing, you have to go out and network after and socialize. Honestly, it's
Yep,
important for you to meet with
yep.
your foreign partners that you never really get to see and maintain those relationships. And it's crazy. Thankfully, Phil comes with me to a lot of these, so he always makes sure that I'm eating and I'm drinking water. So thank goodness for that, man. Someone should marry him.
Shout out to Phil. Thank you, Phil. Max, you got a great comment here. I often wonder how actual gameplay goes for content creators. How do you work in personal gameplay that isn't prep for a con video or other content creation? How do you find the time? I think that's the
You
key word right
don't.
there, time. Max, thank you
Mhm.
for the great comment. I'll let my fellow hosts here answer that first, because I have thoughts on this as well.
Um, yeah, I can jump in. I can say. Well, for me, like just going to Level Up. Level Up was a really wonderful event because I ran an event, so I was working sort of part of the time, but I also like got to play games during running that event because it was just it was a tournament. It was a mini tournament. People were playing games. And so I was very fortunate to have people who knew me from YouTube be like, "Hey, do you want to play a game?" I'm like, "Yes, I do. I am doing this right now. Are you okay if I have to get up and like take a 5 minute break or 10 minute break to like do my actual job?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's completely fine." I was like, "Fantastic." So having great people like that is key. The key is also going to these game playing focus conventions because I went to PAX and I spent most of the time in the vendor hall because I was like, okay, I'm there, I'm doing this, I have to like get the benefit of work, etc. But going to something like Level Up after my event was done, my event's done. There's no vendor hall. People were coming up and said, "You want to play a game?" And I was like overjoyed that I could just play and say yes. And that's really the key. Like I know so it really is like going back to Bing in the chat has already decided on your time for Raycon 2024, right?
I saw that.
It is
February 3,
February
that's coming
30th.
up. We
It's
gotta chop
coming
chop.
up. We'll call it March 1st, so there aren't any
Okay,
loopholes here.
for
Uh,
sure.
yeah, you really got to plan it. I would have given you more leeway, but that's why you should have said a time. But really, like these intimate playing conventions are the thing which gives that feeling because there aren't those sort of like work opportunities to even
Mhm.
consider. And so you have scheduled, it's all about scheduling out the time, right? It's like any job. You have to schedule out that time to play. If you go to a convention and you also have to work for the day, you're not going to feel it as much. You're going to go down in the evenings and play, but then you're going to be in your hotel room taking meetings or doing whatever work or etc. Like I know people who've done that as well, but it's really just about setting aside that time and being like, no, this is the time. I'm going to take this as my time and choose to do it with my time, which I think a lot of people do. And I think that's why you find partly find such friendly faces at conventions as well, because everybody's just so excited to be able to like revel in this thing
Yeah,
that they don't often get the time to do.
that's
I
right.
don't know if that rings true for everybody else here, but
Like,
that's just
Yeah,
my
if I
feeling
absolutely,
may
coming out
jump
of it.
in.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
If
ahead,
I may
Raina.
jump in
Please.
real quick,
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
like I completely agree. It's all about scheduling. Because I schedule everything in my life, but it's about reaching out to people because I love playing board games with other creators here. There's a lot of us in Southern California, and just taking the time to be like, hey, would you be available to play board games anytime the next couple weeks? And as long as we get that in that calendar and that's time devoted to playing games and turning off work mode,
Mhm.
that's what I find works best for me. Even with just Phil and myself, we have to schedule time for us to just to play games, because otherwise we're going to be doing something else.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely relate to that, Raina. Like the schedule portion of it, and like Chris said, it's just there is that joy of connecting with folks at conventions, because we're all game nerds, folks, and we're all there for the love of gaming. And when you
Spoiler
see
alert! Surprise.
spoiler alert, yeah. So to connect with other folks, whether they're content creators or just folks at the convention, it's always a blast. It's always fun. But going along Raina's points, I do the same thing. Like I make sure I schedule time to play games, whether it's a convention or even at home here. Like yesterday we had the Super Bowl, right? Everyone's watching the Super Bowl. I made it a point. My stepdaughter and her boyfriend came over. Michelle and I, we watched the Super Bowl together, but we also played games the entire time. So it was great. It was totally off work
Awesome.
mode. It's like here's a spoiler alert. In real life, when I play games, I may have more of a potty mouth than you're used to.
Well.
That's a
Me
little
too.
bit. Which, if you've ever played games with Richard, yeah, spoiler alert. He's anyways, but it's always in good natured time, good clean fun, and I love being able to do what I love for work. So it never really feels like it can feel like work when you're scheduling stuff and just doing all the behind the scenes stuff. But when you're actually playing games, whether it's a stream video or whatever, I love it. It's amazing, and I'm so grateful to do it.
I was just laughing at the chat where Bodie Belly says Ruel, more like rude L.
That's
Got him.
definitely it. Yeah.
Got him.
When I win a game at home, I may have taken a victory lap or two in the past. So
Oh,
yeah,
dang.
just arms raised, really running around in circles.
That's right. What about you, Ray? As far as keeping that balance between work and play.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't. You guys all put it really well. I don't want to belabor the point. Honestly, it's the same thing for us. It's scheduling, and I like to surround myself with. Again, I'm in the middle of rural Pennsylvania, so I don't have any industry folks around me, and that has really helped me. I have a lot of people who are new to board gaming in like my area, so that joy of teaching someone in a new game, that is really what kind of pushes me through sometimes that fatigue that you can sometimes get. And yeah, just scheduling. My partner and I, we try once a week to schedule like a couple hours where we sit down and we just play a game just strictly for ourselves. And that really is, that's the key. And conventions are the two big tips I have for that.
Just as a couple.
Oh, is that a segue? Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, it's probably too early to start it now, but that's our topic of the week. So
I'm so excited.
I love working with professionals. This is the best, folks. Well, we'll start that part of the show in let's say about 10 more minutes. We'll go about 10 more minutes or so. But, that's a perfect segue.
I see in chat too, Bodie Belly shouting out BGG Con as a great game playing convention. Griff Dog says Dice Tower West is just in a few weeks. He's some of you at the Rio in Vegas. I'm bummed. I would have been able to go to Dice Tower West to run another World Series of Board Gaming event. That's my key to getting to all these conventions.
I see.
Contacting them desperately and saying, please run a little regional mini qualifier event so that I can go run it and then have fun afterwards when I'm not running it.
Wait, so you're
so
not
tell
gonna do Dice Tower
BGG
West?
Con, everyone who's there, please tell them you need Chris there.
Yes,
you need Chris there because I want to go.
So you're
Chris
not
should
going to
be there to
Dice Tower
run a
West
World
this year,
Series
Chris?
thing.
No Dice Tower West for you this year, Chris?
No, because I'm doing a show. I'm doing I've got a theater show in Nova Scotia, but there will be a WSBG event there. You can win your full stay and play, but it's going to be run by one of our double ring winners. So he knows the games. He knows the stuff.
Dare I ask what a double ring winner is, Chris?
Well,
dare I ask?
It's someone who's won 2 rings because you win like a Super Bowl style ring. Like if you win one of the tournaments in World Series, and so Nick Henning, who he's one of our now there are 4 double ring winners. Only 2 happened in 2022. They won 2 events in 2022, and then in between 2022 and 2023, there are 2 people who won one in 2022 and won one in 2023 as well.
Nice.
Yeah, Levi Moreno won Terraforming Mars back to back.
Oh,
like
yeah.
2 Terraforming Mars tournaments back to back, and then David Meredith won Ticket to Ride the first year, and then Raw this second year, which might have just dropped on Dice Tower because I've been putting the commentary up there. That was a wild Raw game to watch.
I
I
was
have
asking about.
played over sorry, just real quick. I played
Yeah.
over 15 games of Terraforming Mars. I have really, truly never ever won once, but I love it so
No.
much. I keep coming back to it.
I
So
thought this was going to go the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
what is your
too.
secret, Levi? Oh my goodness.
I thought you were going to be like, listen, I'm undefeated. I'm the
That's
undefeated
what I
champion.
thought.
And I was
This
like, yes,
is this
I'll get Levi on 1 minute board game. It might last longer than a minute, your game, but I can hook the two of you up to play a cage match
that's
battle.
That
awesome.
would be awesome.
I'll make that happen.
I was just
I
gonna
have
say I'm bummed about Dice Tower
oh, go
West
ahead,
Chris, because I
Ruel.
will not see you there. I was hoping to get tacos El Gordo with you, my friend. But
Oh yeah.
we'll have
Oh
to
yeah.
do it next
If
time.
you're at literally anyone who's going to Dice Tower West, go get tacos El Gordo. 100%. It's
So
the best.
good. So good. What was I gonna say? So John says holding a handful of Terraforming Mars while
Yeah.
wearing 2 championship rings is a massive flex, right?
Oh, should I draft this one, or should I maybe draft this one? I'm not sure. They both seem equally good.
Yeah, I would totally refer myself to as as the 2-time defending Terraforming Mars champion. This is my
Double
play.
ring winner. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my question with that, which is one of my favorite questions to like ask board gamers, is what is like right now, someone has thrown down the gauntlet. What is the one game that you think without a shred of doubt you can win? Like what's the game you pick? $1 million on the line, you can pick any game in your collection.
Good question.
What are you picking that you think you can beat anyone at? And that's a question for everyone on stream and also for chat. What's your $1 million
chat, let's
right
hear
now?
it.
We're throwing down.
Wow.
What can you beat me at, or anyone at?
Wow.
For
I'm
me,
gonna
I think
say
yeah,
go ahead.
Go Raina. I don't know. I
I
was
was
just
gonna
trying to fill time. I was trying to give everybody time to answer, but you give
That's a
me
big
time to
question, I
answer.
know.
Yeah.
It is, but I was prepared for an answer, and that is Azul. I love
Really?
Azul, and I am basically
Nice.
undefeated at that game. So
Nice.
I got
Run it,
a
Chris.
question for you, Raina, for Azul. Do you? I mean, I guess it's very tactical, so I guess it depends on what tiles are out there. But do you try to get those columns for the 7-point bonus, or do you go for like the set of all the colors for a 10-point bonus, or is there it just doesn't matter?
I go for the columns because getting like the color bonus can be really difficult,
That's what I thought.
in
too.
my opinion. You kind of
yeah.
pigeonhole yourself.
Yeah.
I try to do that too. My game of choice, I feel like I can say I want anyone to challenge me this game. I feel like I'm really good at patchwork. For whatever reason, my brain works in a certain way, and y'all play on BGA, Board Game Arena. Like it's my highest ELO ranking or whatever on BGA. It's like 360 or something like that, which
Dang.
I don't do on any game. It's just for whatever reason patchwork. And yeah, I owe it all to Michelle, because Michelle kicked my butt for like the first couple of months, and I just started seeing what she was doing. Like, oh, it's all about getting that income, blah blah blah, that 7x7, all this stuff. Having said that, I would never play the World Series of Board Gaming because I saw the final for that, but they were like next level. I'm like, oh my gosh, they pretty much know the entire how the game's gonna go before it even starts. Like they're looking like
That's
10 moves
crazy.
ahead. I'm like, this is insane. But anyways.
That was a wild. Yeah, that was a wild. Ruel and I did the commentary on that one.
Yeah.
It was a
That blew
freaking
me
wild
away,
one
Chris.
to
It
watch.
was amazing.
For me, talking about like highest ELO on BGA, my highest ELO would probably be on Seasons. I have played many games of Seasons, and if you're thinking of a number, it's higher than that. I've been playing it on BGA for a long time. And so like I could play a game in my sleep, basically. Like when I see the first hand of cards, I'm like, okay, this is the way to go. Although the last 2 games of Seasons I just played it quickly recently on BGA. I lost both times, so well, I don't know. I can't pick Seasons. I would probably pick Dutch Blitz.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say that.
Okay.
I knew it. Yeah.
Yeah. I would probably
That's a very
Dutch
chaotic
Blitz.
choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be anyone who wants to challenge me to Dutch Blitz anytime. I'm in. I'm twitching thinking about it. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to move those
That's
cards.
awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Yeah, Tyler's dad says not Rising Sun. Rising Sun's close. I'm pretty good at Rising Sun as well. It's my like that's my favorite game ever. And I played it with Tyler's dad recently at the Niagara Board Gaming Weekend.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
B. Travis says their wife may take Chris in Dutch Blitz, so they're maybe a challenger to the throne, man.
All right.
Yeah, let's go. I've Yeah, Dutch Blitz is a favorite of mine for sure. I've played it a lot. I've also played it, significantly against my parents, and that's not like a that's an easier one to win. So I play two decks, and I play with my left hand, and I
Wait, what?
also
Really?
play closing my eyes for 5 seconds and then
Mhm.
opening them for 5 seconds, so that there's that time gap, and then I listen for the card piles. So if I know there's a card pile that's out there, that I have the card there, so that I can potentially make moves while my eyes are closed, and I'll be like, okay, and then I'll play it. I'll be like, okay, I did get it, and then I can
Next
keep
level,
going
folks.
for that sort
Next
of thing.
level. What about you, Ray? What
Oh.
what game would you say you'll take on all comers and you'll win?
I pretty confidently can say I think I can beat anyone in Wingspan. I am very good.
Ooh.
I'm very good at Wingspan. I have played in a couple of like unofficial Twitch tournaments for Wingspan. I love Wingspan. Um Base like vanilla Wingspan. With the expansions, it gets a little dicey. I love the expansions, but like I have the most hours in base Wingspan, and I think I can beat
Wow.
most people at that. That would be my pick. But yeah, I just love asking board gamers that question because everyone, it takes them a second and
Mhm.
they're like, oh, this is my one. This is
This
the
is
one
it.
I'd go with.
Nice.
And you also learn a lot about people as board gamers. It's not necessarily their favorite game, but it's like the game they've played the most or like the game
Mhm.
that they really feel like they've worked out.
Mhm.
Love that. So thank you guys for indulging me in that.
Nice.
Raina and Ray, Wingspan and Azul are both in the World Series of Board Gaming. You should come and win a ring.
How do
Yeah.
I hate to ask this question because it's gonna be a can of worms. How do you like if someone's looking to start in the World Series of Board Gaming, do you just like go to a con that happens to have a qualifier? Is that
No,
the like
you can
first
just come
step?
to the World Series of Board Game. You just buy a ticket. You just buy a
But
ticket to
then
you just come and you come compete.
what's the point of the qualifiers? You just go
Well,
to the
if
World
you get to
Series
come for
and
free.
Yeah. Qualifiers get you in for
I
free.
Yeah,
see,
you
I
get your
see.
ticket paid for. So you can win
I
your
see, I see.
ticket, or you can just, pay for your
Or I
ticket
just
and
show up in
come.
Vegas ready
Yeah.
to just
Yes.
crush
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Got you.
Like I want to see both of you walking away with two beautiful rings. That's what it would bring me no greater joy. I would be thrilled if that was
I'm
the
too
case.
sensitive nowadays. I grew up my entire life playing competitive sports and doing competitive dance,
Mhm.
and it
Oh.
it puts you in, like, a certain mindset. Like, I talked about this in TikTok that I made where, like, it really made myself, like, achievement oriented, which kind of messed with my, my psyche and stuff, and so I do not want to play a board game, like, competitively like that.
Yeah.
Totally fair. Totally
Totally.
fair. That's actually something I kind of wanted to bring up. I saw that TikTok earlier, the one where you were talking about like your competitiveness and how it like affected your relationship. But I don't even have a question necessarily. I just kind of wanted to say thank you for sharing that. If you are in chat and you haven't seen it, it's a really interesting like insight into sometimes how that competitive nature can affect relationships. And I feel like a lot of times we just talk about how much fun board games are. And sometimes
Yeah.
I just really respect like your introspection and you sharing that. I thought that was just really interesting and a really powerful thing to talk about. I feel like so much can be painted over with positivity of right, like this is such a fun hobby and it's awesome, but we all do have those moments where like a loss really stings or the yeah. I thought that was really great that you shared
Thank you
that.
so much. Yeah, I'm happy and surprised that it resonated with a lot of people, and just the
Yeah.
TLDR for people in chat who haven't seen it. Um, I used to be super, super like a big sore loser, and it was messing up like my relationship because Phil never wanted to play games with me. And so I went to therapy, did the work, and was able to completely reframe the way that I play games now. So
Oh
it's been
wow.
great.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was really cool to
That
hear
is
that.
awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Raina. One thing I do want to say about the World Series of Board Game, which I thought was really neat. So I went to my first one this past year in September, and I had gone to like tournaments like I used to play poker, so I've been to the World Series of Poker and also different poker tournaments
Mm.
in California. That's a different world, folks. That is, let's just straight up be honest. There's like a excuse me, a lot of like degenerate gamblers, so it's a like very different scene. Whereas board gaming, excuse me, it was really cool. People were like nice, which is great to see. So, excuse me, I'm gonna get a cough drop. I just started out.
You're good. You're good.
I'll take that up. I'll take that up, Ruel, while you cough. Because I think this is where you're saying too. I try not to say it because like I also do like I work for them, right? Like that's a disclaimer. I do some work for them, but like it's great. It's always great hearing that people feel that sense of camaraderie and that sense of friendliness, because that's something that like I really also love to see, and was surprised. Again, everybody's always surprised, and I was surprised the first year I went that like people are so friendly, and people want to compete, but it's more about like seeing how well you can do, how far you can go, rather
Mhm.
Yeah.
than like getting so invested that it does hit home. Like I really resonate with that too, Raina, that feeling of like I used to take everything way too seriously. Like way too seriously. It wasn't good for my own mental health. Like, and it's not fun. And then the more games that I've played now, the more I've realized, oh yeah, it's okay if I lose. Like, not that doesn't say something about me as a person. You know what I mean? Like I can lose and still have a good time, and applying it's I've found some good friends who don't take games seriously at all and always go for like weird wild card strategies. I think like being around them has like been really helpful in terms of just being like, oh yeah, we're here to have fun. Like I'm having a great time because you're doing these zany strategies. But like even at WSBG, what like in the semifinal game, so there's 16 like mini tournament. There's 16 tournaments. You win a ring, like the Super Bowl ring. They're called ring events. Then you have a semifinal table where you play a random game that you didn't win, and then you go on to the final table where you win money. Like you can win $25,000, and at that semifinal table, where if you
That's
win
so
this
stressful.
game, you go on and you guaranteed win $1,000. Could be 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 25. Um, there was one person who like it was brass that was drawn randomly, and one person really knew brass well, and the other three like didn't. And that's a scary thing, right?
Yeah.
Like especially if you're playing somebody who knows the game. And in the very beginning, as it's being set up, he's like, the very first move somebody made, he's like, no, no, no. You want to do it the other way because it's more efficient this way. And
Wow.
he's like, take your turn back, like do it this way because like this is the way you should do it, like that you save like $3 doing it that way, and like this is a more efficient route, like be careful of this. And he's like, and everybody also should be careful, like there's only one of these cards in the game,
Mm.
and like outlined all the things that people needed to like really be aware of. And I was like, that's when I knew that I'm like, you know what, board gaming is special in terms of like even at that sort of competitive level, right? That like people are still treating it as this community hobby, as this thing that we can all come together and enjoy. And it doesn't matter that like literally you win money. You win money
Yeah.
by winning this game, and you don't have to say anything as that person. Just be like, yep, I'll just keep it. Doesn't matter. He's like, no, 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 no. Do it this way. Do it this way. Like,
That's
and
so
the game
cool.
ended up being really close. The guy who knew brass ended up winning, but he only won by like 5 points.
Okay.
That's
Like, and
beautiful.
Yeah.
that's like it was like he won by 5 points, and then third place was like 7 points behind, and then fourth place was like a bit further back.
Yeah.
But the fact that like it became so close for sure was part because he was like for the first half of the game, and then like once the game got going, he's not going to say, okay, please
Yeah.
stop,
Yeah. Yeah.
like beat me here. And the very last moves of the game, if somebody's inefficient, like which I wouldn't do in if I'm playing a game, but like
Right.
because like as you get into it, I just thought like that to me, I'm like it is emblematic of our community, I feel, which is and also why game playing conventions are the best, because you get to hang out with all these people you may not have gotten to interact with before too. So I just
Yeah.
think that sits with me, and that's like resonates with me in terms of like the way I wish all competitions were, the way I was the way I wish I want to move forward in the world too,
Mhm.
right? Like just interacting with that same like generosity
I love
sort of
that,
thing.
Chris. Yeah, I think what you
Yeah.
said captures the essence of what that of how competition should be. It's competition, but it's friendly and it's enough to where no one feels uncomfortable. Like they're comfortable playing for these higher stakes, of course. But I love that story that this person who actually knew the game would take a step back and say, "Hey, here's some friendly hints at first, just to get you going." Because they
Yeah.
didn't have to do that; they could have just plowed right through it and just crushed
Yeah.
everyone. But again, in the spirit of board gaming, we all want to just enjoy each other and have a good game, right?
I just realized that was the 2022 Azul champion.
Oh, was
I was
Oh,
it?
like,
cool.
Oh, was it
Very
Scott?
cool.
Was his name Scott? I forget his
that
name.
was 2023. Yeah,
Okay.
Luca won in 2022.
Okay. Because I played with
Yeah,
the eventual champion, Azul champion, was at my table. I played in a ring
yeah,
game.
Scott Leader.
Yeah, he was so nice. Absolutely crushed
Yeah.
us, but he
Oh,
was super nice. Yeah.
Scott, the whole
Killing
time
you in
also.
kindness.
Azul people, they're bred from a different cloth. Scott the whole time was like, "Hey," like I was running around and he's like, "Hey, like so great. Like if you need any help, I can like I've got some tech background. Like I can
Wow.
come help you with
Aw.
this." I was like, "Scott, you go don't offer to do free work for me. Go enjoy the
That's
go and open
great.
gaming, have fun, like play whatever." I was like, so, but like it was a genuine offer too.
Yeah,
He was just like, he's the freaking best. Yeah.
gotta love
That's
that.
awesome.
Okay. So why don't we do a show? Why don't we get going with the show? Before we get going though, so what we're gonna do, folks, is the top 10 games for couples, top 10 couples games, with our guest Raina from Panasaurus. We're gonna have Richard join us via video right now. He's gonna give us a little spiel, and then we're gonna get to recording the show. So why don't we let Richard take it away? Richard, where are you at? Right here.
Hey everybody, hope everybody's enjoying the show so far. Hey Raina, sorry I cannot be here, but what's even worse, I will not be on the actual countdown live stream today because in just a few minutes I'm going to be heading out there for whale watching. And it's a little early in the morning. I think everybody's still asleep and I haven't gotten everybody's final list right now, so I wouldn't be able to comment. So my apologies that I will be MIA today, but don't worry, if you wait till the post show, Ruel will have a quick video for me talking about the games I would have put on my list. We just try to avoid having overlaps, and since I don't know what Raina's choices are yet, I don't want to overlap with her. But if you want to see me in the video, that will be on YouTube on Wednesday, Valentine's Day, as one would expect. But during the actual recording of the R&R today, I will be MIA. Just know I'll be out there literally petting baby whales because there are apparently thousands of whales out in the ocean right there, and Jen and I are going to be going and checking them out. Alrighty, have a good show, everybody. Break a leg and all of that. All right.
And thank you, Richard. As you all saw there, folks, Richard's going to bring in his input later. He's going to splice it in because he's apparently hanging out with, what was it, baby whales?
Petting
Baby
baby
whales.
whales.
What the? Like, how is this possible?
I
he's
love
living
this
the
for
life.
Richard so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
He's
He's
living
out
his
there
best life.
adventuring. Really is.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to record for YouTube, folks. Be sure to stick around for the post show where Richard has another video, and then Raina, Ray, and Chris and I will be talking about more games that may not made the list on our couples list here. I'm going to turn off a couple of things here, change this over to the correct thing. Y'all stick around. Stay with us. We are going to be chatting more afterwards. We'll be focused on the show right now, but again, stick around because afterwards we're going to hang out with y'all, everyone here in the live studio audience when we're done. So just to get my notes straight here,
Yeah.
Chris, you're going to lead off with number 10. We'll do the intro, go number 10, and then Ray's got number 9, I've got number 8, Raina's got 7. Then when it's Richard's turn, we'll just do an intro. I'll just say, okay, Richard, what's your number 6? We'll take a beat, and then we'll continue our list, and he'll splice it in as he needs to. Okay. Raina, Ray, and Chris, how y'all feeling? We good to go?
I think we're
All good.
good to go.
Awesome.
I think
Talk
we're
about some
ready to
couples
go.
games.
Oh,
Let's get some couples games.
couples games. Okay.
2 people.
Actually, let me check this. I want to see if we've got that. Behind the scenes stuff, folks. Give me just a second here. Make sure volumes.
While behind the scenes happens, I really liked Lorelai, who said, I mean, as far as excuses go, sorry, I was petting baby whales is pretty great, but definitely needs video evidence. I agree. Yeah, where are the receipts? Pics or it didn't happen.
I agree. That's great. Okay.
Someone asked earlier if his RV is just like turning into a boat.
Turns
like
into a
one of
boat?
those
Yeah.
future cars. Like, what does he do? Does he just leave his RV or drive it on? Maybe I have so many questions for that man when he gets back.
Yeah, we need
His
to
wild
find
adventures.
Yeah, we need answers to these questions. I agree, Ray. We got to get Richard to talk about this stuff sometime soon. I am dying to know. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna switch over to where's our intro? There it is. All right. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for the R&R Show. This is episode 83, and hello friends. I'm Ruel Gaviola, joined as always by Chris and Ray, our co-hosts, and we've got a very special guest in the house right now, Raina from Patasaurus. Hi Raina!
Woo!
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, cannot wait to talk about this. Folks, did you know that we record this live on Twitch? Because we do.
Mhm.
Every time we do this, we have a pre-show and a post-show. You can get to know Raina a lot better during the pre-show by clicking on links below for the extended edition of the show. A lot of great stuff. You'll
And
learn a
hear
lot of
all
fun
about her
things.
love. Her
Yes.
love.
I overshare a lot. Get to know me real well.
Oh, Chris with the special effects, folks. You
Look
gotta
at it.
love
Very,
that.
very Valentine's Day of you, Chris. Look at that.
Hey,
Yes.
I had it. I mean, I was holding my hands like that below camera. I swear that's what I was doing. Just ready to pull them into frame
There it is.
for
There
the
it
for
is.
the for the
Special
for the
effects,
Mac
folks.
magic.
Yes.
Welcome to Valentine's Day
Yes.
couples games. Before we begin, should we define what we mean? What was everyone's sort of criteria for their list? Were you going specifically romantic partners? Were you going 2-player games? Going primary gaming partner? What were people thinking when they thought up these delicious gems that we're going to impart to everyone?
I would very much like to talk about this because I tried with this to really think about games that are heightened by like really knowing the other person very well. So not
Mhm.
necessarily like your smooching partner, but someone like a roommate or someone that you really live with that you're like very comfortable with. That's a little bit of like a teaser for the types of games I'm talking about because I have a lot of really, really great 2-player games that I love just from a strategic. They're just like some of my favorite
Mhm.
crunchy 2-player games, but I could in theory sit down with anyone at a convention and play this and have an equally great time. So I tried personally to try to pick games that are heightened by knowing the person you're playing with very well. That was my definition going into
Nice.
this.
Nice.
Nice.
What about you, Raina? Did you come in with any?
Raina Ruel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did the opposite. I kind of just chose my favorite 2-player games, and I could play this with anyone, whether
Yeah,
romantic or
totally.
platonic. But it's fun. As soon as I sent that list over, I sat there and I was like, wait, they said couples games, not 2-player games. So maybe I missed the mark. But, regardless, I'm excited to talk about them. And, everyone has a different definition of couples. So
Yep.
we're getting a
Absolutely.
variety here, which is awesome.
Yeah, I cannot
Absolutely.
wait to hear everyone's choices. Me, same thing. I went with my favorite 2-player games, but then I really thought about it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick with these because I think any couple, any 2-player grouping can play the games that I chose. So we shall see. But yeah, having said that, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Thank you for watching. And why don't we let Chris, the man with the hearts, kick things off here with our number 10 for today.
My doctor says it's the size of an elephant's, and there are major problems with. There are 2 in there. It's an issue. No, so for me, for my picks, I wanted to go with things, yeah, kind of along the same lines of Ray for a few of them, and then some for your nemesis. You can have your head-to-head battle, depending upon what sort of
Your
relationship you
enemies to
want.
lovers.
Yeah, your enemies to
My
lovers, a
favorite
romance
trope.
novel.
Me
That's later.
too.
Yeah, will the Darkling change his ways and come over to the side of light only through the power of love and seduction and 12 pages of steamy description. No, but my first one is one that I play with my girlfriend Renee a lot. And I think this one is really heightened by knowing the other person very well as well. Your primary gaming partner, the person who you finish each other's sandwiches, all those sorts of people. So if mine is one of my favorite 2-player games, and that's Hanabi. I love
Oh
Hanabi.
my God,
I
that Grant Beard. I'm sorry. That
Oh
was
yeah,
such a
Grant's
jump
beard.
scare. I'm
Yeah.
so
There's a jump scare.
sorry.
Yeah, and actually, fun fact, you don't know this, but you have to play
So not
Hanabi
ready.
with Grant. That Grant as your partner. When I'm
Good
talking
God.
about my primary gaming partner, I'm talking about Grant and Grant's beard from Grant's Gaming Beard. It's a new channel. You should all check it out. Really good. You should
Yes.
shout it
Lord.
out. But
That beard.
yeah, Hanabi is if you want to play base Hanabi without without the Grant Beard expansion, you can. But really, it's best with the Grant Beard expansion. Hanabi is really, really great in terms of a limited communication game. It is sort of a trust fall as a board game because you're going to be giving clues about the number of your clues can either comprise of, hey, you have all of this color, or hey, you have all of this number. And you want to be playing together your cards from 1 to 5 in all the 5 different suits, but you can't see your cards. That's why Grant is holding them to the camera. Grant couldn't see his cards. He can see the backs of his cards. And so I'm telling you, hey, this is a 2, and there are no 2s on the board. We haven't even played 1s yet. It's up to you to figure out what I'm trying to say by telling you that's a 2. And so you develop this really wicked unspoken language that only gets deeper the more that you play. And so playing this with the same person over and over again, I think is absolutely the best way to enjoy Hanabi. And then we held hands does a similar thing to this. I like Hanabi a little bit more, but I like both of them. And it's that sense of hidden communications and the things that you come up with together. Now that I've played this so much with my girlfriend, I'll be like, hey, this is this thing, and she's like, okay, I know what you're saying there. And we've moved to sort of the hardest level that you can have in terms of incorporating all the different multicolors in there, which hide themselves. If you say like, this is red, you
Mhm.
also have to point at a multicolor, and then you'd be like, this is blue, and you point at the multicolor, and that's the only way you know it's multicolor. Anyway, it's a great game, super great for couples. I wanted to shout it out there because it is probably the thing that I play with my partner the most. And so there you go. That's why it's in
Nice.
here. That's our number 10, Hanabi.
I I've played Hanabi. I've never played it at 2, Chris. This is so
Really?
interesting to me. Yeah, I've only played it in groups, 3 or 4.
Oh, yeah.
Like, is it? I don't know how different is it as a couples game as far as like just you know do you take fewer cards? I don't know, like mechanically
Yeah,
or
you have a
you know.
hand of 5 cards. So you have a hand of 5 cards with 2 to 3 players, and you have a
Yeah,
hand of 4 cards for 4 to 5 players.
right.
So you have a little bit more leeway there with the card cycling.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it's not that different. You still have 8 clues that you have to get back through
Okay.
discarding cards. It's the same thing. You still have the same number of cards in the deck as well, and the end game triggers the same. When you draw the last card, you each have one more turn.
Okay.
So all of that is the same.
Cool.
But yeah, I love it too because, well, also in a group, I need to trust that all the group members are going to hint the right ways,
Yeah, the
and
correct
that
way.
never happens. And I'm like, oh no, I should only be taking care of the person next to me, but I have to take care of the whole group here.
Yep.
And then someone's going to double clue, and it gives me a heart attack every time. It's a good heart attack. But with 2 people, I think it's a bit easier as well with 2 people because you only have to worry about each other. And
Yeah.
so like I I have more information, and I have more ways to react as well. I have less chance for the train to go off the edges by it just by 3 people having to take a turn before I can help steer
Mhm.
the ship again.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what I was
yeah. Oh,
curious.
yeah. You should play it too. It's great. It's really good at 2. It's great at
Yeah,
2.
I'm curious. Yeah, you've totally
Yeah.
piqued my curiosity now. Like because I liked Hanabi, but I didn't love it. But I feel
Yeah.
like I never even
Mhm.
really thought like, why don't I just play this with 2? Because with especially with Michelle, because I'd like to think that we're sort of on the same wavelength when it comes to
Yeah.
gaming.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, cool.
And yeah, you can bang it out really quickly at 2 as well.
Yep,
It's just like a quick game, and then you go one more round or whatever. But
yep,
oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
awesome.
Highly recommend it too. It's my favorite. It's my favorite player count for Hanabi, just because, especially if you play with that same person and you
Yeah,
develop that language. Like that's part of that's the reason why I like it so much. It's what happens after those subsequent plays of the game, which
nice,
I find is very unique to Hanabi.
awesome. Raina, Ray, any thoughts? Have you all played Hanabi? If not, would you be interested in playing on Hanabi based on Chris's description?
Yeah, I love Hanabi. I've only played it on multiple player counts too.
Mhm.
It's funny because it's on Board Game Arena, I believe. Is it? No,
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
Oh
Hanabi.
yeah,
Is
it
it?
is. Yeah.
Yep, yep, yeah. I
I
think you
think
have to
I've
be
seen
I
it on
premium,
there,
but yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's funny because I played it once before there, and apparently there's this meta language that they use on Board Game Arena, so it's kind of like
I believe
cheating.
it.
But if you
Oh,
don't use that meta language, they get mad at you.
Yeah,
So I was like, I'm never playing this on Board Game Arena again. But I think it's
yeah.
great.
oh, interesting.
I can
Otherwise,
I've played it on Board Game Arena with Renee, and then no other, because like
Yeah.
the thing about Hanabi that I just like love is I would never tell someone anything about it. I wouldn't tell anybody any conventions. Like if people try to tell
Mhm.
you conventions about Hanabi, run the other way because they're not your friend. Like the sense of discovery that you can get by
Yeah.
realizing those conventions for yourself that happen over like, I don't know, 5, 6 plays, you go, oh, maybe I'll start doing it this way. And then you realize and develop that shared language is the thing that I love about it. And so Board Game Arena, I can see like really ruining that, because they would just be
Mm.
like, well, don't you even know to do this thing? And you're like, well, no, I didn't. And now I'll never get that feeling of discovery, right?
Mm.
Yeah, no, I can actually say I've never played Hanabi kind of for the reason that you just brought up, because I used to watch, well, I still do, but I watch a lot of the Brothers Murph content, and I can't remember which
Yes.
brother it is, but one of them hates Hanabi because of that kind of ability to solve Hanabi, where if you get
Mm,
this specific language with everyone at the table, it's not as fun. So that's always steered me away from it, but your description of it has kind of given me a second kind of interest in it, because I love games with weird communication styles.
yeah,
It's one of my favorite things, and you'll actually see me talk about that later in this video. But I just that was like he was the first person I ever heard talk about Hanabi, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna ignore that because it sounded like there was a potential like game breaking aspect to it. But it sounds like if you play with the right people, possibly you can kind of
yeah. There's a
overcome
way
that,
to
or even
solve
if
it.
you
Is
do.
you can
Yeah,
tell
go
each
ahead.
other your cards and ruin the
Yeah,
game. You can
yeah.
do that.
Yeah. But it sounds like that sense of discovery, even if it does eventually get to a point where you have this language that's so perfect,
Mhm,
that progress of getting there is worth it.
100%.
So that, yeah, I'm really glad you put this on your list, because
Yeah.
I had kind of written it off in my head for a
Cool.
while.
Same
Cool.
here.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Great choice, Chris. So that's our number 10 for best couples games, folks. Let's move on to our number 9. Ray is going to bring us in for number 9.
Yeah. So speaking about weird communication styles, my first game on this list, if you could even really call it a board game, that's probably a stretch. But this is one of my favorite games of all time, and that is Inhuman Conditions. So this is like a TTRPG mixed with a board game, right? It's not really solidly in either category. Um, and so in Inhuman Conditions, it's kind of like Blade Runner, the RPG, sort of, where you're going to have two people typically. There is a larger player count variant that I've never played before, but typically in Inhuman Conditions, you have two people. One person is an investigator, and the other person is probably not a robot, but you have to figure that out. So the entire game takes place over 5 minutes just during an interview conversation. So the person across from the interviewer is going to get some sort of occupation and some sort of fun character flavor. And then they're also going to find out one of 3 potential robot roles they might have. They might just be a regular human, they might be a passive robot, or they might be an aggressive, or I think they're called violent robots. And depending on those roles, you're trying to do different things in this interview. So the interviewer is just trying to figure out, is this person human or not human? And if you're the other person across the table, if you're human, you're just trying to survive the interview and not get like flagged as a robot. If you're a passive robot, you have some like communication barrier. So you're going to pick up a card that's going to say like, you can only reference, I think the example in this video is you can only reference strangers or enemies. So if the interviewer says like, tell me about your childhood, you cannot mention your parents, your siblings. You have to come up with weird story reasons why you'd only be talking about strangers or enemies. And then if you're a violent robot, there are things instead of hindrances to your communication, there are specific weird things you have to do in conversation. And if you do those things before the 5 minutes run out, you can kill your interviewer. And it's just a very fun, experimental, conversation based game. And like I sort of said at the beginning about like how we're defining couples games in this, I really tried to lead into games that really like shine when you know the other person very well. And I love weird little pocket-sized role-playing experiences. I love playing this game with my partner. It's so fun. It can be kind of honestly kind of awkward if you don't know the other person very well. So I really would only recommend playing this with your like primary gaming partner or someone you know very, very well. But it's such a unique, such an interesting experience. You can play it in 5 minutes. And it's just a very well designed, delightful little role playing board game experience.
Wow. Ray, this is
Nice. Good
another
pick. Great pick.
example of you bringing a game that I've never heard of, and now I really want to
Really?
play this.
Oh,
This is so interesting to me.
I love this game. It's
Yeah.
so weird and so fun, and there's such a great reveal when you're a violent robot and you've successfully like met all your requirements. You are supposed to like slam your hands on the table and like scream really loudly. Bunch of weird stuff like that, and I love that kind of thing in a game.
It's so great. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Just a game that encourages you to act silly. And also, like, this
Love
is
it.
one of those games that, like, I just want to be weird every time because I think it's
Yeah.
the funniest.
Yeah,
Doesn't
it's
matter,
definitely a
robot or
game where
not.
like yeah,
Keep
exactly. You can
going.
like play it really straight as a human and it can be less fun. It definitely encourages you to when you get that occupation and those flavor text cards, like really lean into
Mhm.
those and really try to answer as if you're that character, which is a lot of fun. It's just such a fun little again, more of an experience than a board game because you like if you try to win in human conditions, I'm not playing in human conditions with you. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. Have you? So I mean, it does seem like the type of game that you know, you want to play with someone that you know really well. Like, have you played with like a complete stranger? How's that experience? It seemed like it would sort of
I
fall
have
flat.
not.
Okay.
And I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see
Because
why.
it is like a weirdly intimate experience, right? You're like grilling someone about
Yeah.
fictional details about their life. There's something very, very intimate about it. I mean, if you're ballsy, go for it. It could turn out to be a very interesting experience
Yeah.
to walk up to a stranger at a convention and whip this out. Please tell me how that goes. But I think this could be a really fun date night experience.
Nice. 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 Yeah. I'm blown away that I had never heard of this game until right now. So thank you for that, Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's our number 9. Moving right along the list. It looks like I've got our number 8. And this one I was really excited to include in the list because I think this is a great game for couples or 2 friends or just 2 people that enjoy games. It's actually well, I don't like to use the word it killed another game for me, but it's sort of
Mm.
replaced one. So our number 8 collectively, and this is my choice, is Splendor Duel. This is the 2-player version of the classic Splendor, and Michelle and I love Splendor. We loved it at 2. Actually, I preferred the base game to 2 for 2 players. I think it's just a wonderful light engine builder, and it's really easy to understand. You're just collecting gems and then using those gems to bring in different gems and also complete victory point cards as you trade along the Mediterranean. But Splendor Duel, what it does this brilliant thing of having that additional board. So you got like a spatial element to it, a little puzzle where the gems come out in a particular way on there, and now you can only take the ones that are connected and in a row or whatever. And it also includes a couple of different win conditions. It's got just a little more going on than the base game, and that's why Michelle and I, whenever we reach to play Splendor now, it's always Splendor Duel. As you can see here, not only do you have the extra cards that you play with, but also the different abilities that you can take. So there's special abilities that are built into the game as well to get you more gems or more points. And I think it's just brilliant. I love what I think it was Bruno Cathala that came into Marc Andre's original design and added these things. And it just, if you know Splendor, you'll know Splendor Duel. It's just a couple little things. If you've never played Splendor, I think you can still get into this game. It's just a couple additional rules that's different than the base game, but it's just everything about it is right. And for a 2-player game, I think it's absolutely brilliant. And that's why our number 8 is Splendor Duel.
Nice. I love Splendor. I love Splendor just as a 2-player, and I've still yet to play Splendor Duel, and I know I would love it as well. Like I've read the rule book, and I love the pearls. I love the different things. I was trying to think of if Sobek for 2, like Sobek 2 players, came out around the same time as Splendor Duel. Like
It
which
did.
one came first?
Same year. I know that for sure, Chris. But yeah, you're right.
Because they both have the replenishing in the same way.
Yes.
The thing. Sobek
Yeah.
Pandasaurus game.
Exactly, a Pandasaurus game. And as Chris said, the resources when you're bringing in those gems or the little chips into your supply there, in the base game, you get to choose which ones you take as long as they're available there. But this one though, it adds that puzzle element where, oh, I need to take in a certain row or column or whatever, and then when there's only a few left, you're gonna go in the bag and refill it randomly again. So that always changes. It's a really cool take on like a market. So that's what I love about it, and I feel like it keeps the game a little more fresh in my eyes. But I love them both. I will always play Splendor, but if I had a choice, definitely Splendor Duel. Rainer or Ray, any experience with Splendor Duel?
I love
Yeah,
this
this
game.
absolutely, and it's really portable too. Phil and I actually played it on the plane to Hawaii
Oh,
last
nice.
year.
Oh,
So,
Nice.
yeah, we just put
nice.
down our 2 little trays and everything fit perfectly on both of them.
Oh, that's great. Nice.
Yeah, no,
That's
this game
really
is
good.
fantastic. I Splendor is fine, but I agree with you, Ruel. This game definitely elevates it. I would always pick Splendor Duel. I was also just really surprised by this. When this was announced, I had like, again, I find Splendor is fine for me. It's like a gateway game that I wouldn't necessarily pick up again. And I really did not know what they were gonna do with a Splendor Duel, and I was so surprised by how much I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, yeah. That's part of it as well. I was, it's we all work in the industry, and like you sort of, I don't want to say get jaded, but you're like, do we really need a Splendor Duel? It's like, okay, like every game is a duel now, or they have a two-player, but this one was legit. Like, wow, this is fantastic. I absolutely love it. So
Totally.
yeah. Let's
Nice.
move on to our number 7. Our guest Raina, you've got our number 7 for us today, and what will it be?
Yes, so this game is one of my personal favorites. When I was picking my games, I was really going for things that are, quick, short, and sweet because, like I said, couples can mean anything from your romantic partner to your brother to your roommate, and so you have to kind of gauge where they at in their board gaming history. So my number 7 pick is Jaipur. This is a fantastic little card game. So, it's very simple. And then on your turn, you can do one of two things. You can either take a card or you can sell your cards, which are represented by different goods here. So, when you take a card, you can either take one from the market or you can actually swap cards from the market with your hand. And as soon as you get enough of the same type of card or good, you can go ahead and sell them, and then you take one of those chips up top and they start with a higher point range and then slowly make their way down to the bottom too. It's played over 3 rounds, and whoever has the most chips after 3 rounds wins, because if you have the most points after 1 round, you get one of those chips right there. And it's great. It's on the lighter side in my opinion. Like I said, the gameplay, you either take cards or you sell cards. This is actually the older version that's showing. The newer version I really like. It's a bit more vibrant, and it's also portable, which I love. As you can tell, I love my portable games, and it's quick enough to where you might want to play a second game after. It's great.
Yeah, I love how fast this plays, and just that tension of like, do I use all my camels right now to get all this stuff, or trying to race to get certain ones so you can get all the the higher value tokens. I love how it plays. It's such a cool mechanism, and I played a bunch on BGA. I think it's a really good implementation on Board Game Arena as well. Fun fact, I still haven't showed this one to Michelle. I feel like she'd like it. I don't know why, but my copy I'm looking
Hmm.
at right now
Wow.
across the room, it's still in shrink wrap. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. But
Really?
yeah, I need to bust this one out. Because
There's your Valentine's Day plan.
Oh, there
There's
it
your
is. Yeah.
Valentine's Day plans. Yeah.
It's like I planned it. Yes, happy Valentine's Day, babe. Got you a game.
Let's try a new thing. Now, do you have
That's
old version or do you have new version?
I don't know. I picked it up on sale like I think a couple of years ago. It's just been sitting here.
Is the
So
box green? Can you see it?
it is green, yes.
Oh yeah, that's old version.
Okay.
That's a relic.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe I should keep it
A
in
relic
shrink.
of history. I love the green version too.
Yeah. It's such a good game. I really enjoy this
Yeah.
one. Ray, have you played this one? I'm assuming you played this one.
I actually have
Oh,
not.
I thought
No,
we
this
talked
is
about
this
it
is
before.
a
Okay. So no, you
I
haven't.
don't
Oh, it's so
I don't
good.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it looks great. And I'm always looking for light, like entry weight games that you can play with someone. And then also like I really like that people mentioned the quick turns of
Yep.
it, because that's huge. If you're learning a new game with someone and you're doing a date night, it could be nice to be able to play a couple of times and not just have that one like loss hang over the night. Like having that ability to play again is always good for a date night dynamic.
Agreed.
This
And Chris,
was
you played this a
when
bunch, right?
oh yeah, when my girlfriend and I started dating, she got this our like first Christmas together. She took me on a trip. Like we just went up a couple hours outside of the city to like this little cabin area and like this hotel, more like a chalet, because there was a restaurant there. But she got me
Chalet.
this because she had gone to the board game store and had been like, hey, good 2-player game. So she got me this. We went down to the restaurant. We played it at like a table at the restaurant. And so it's really, really possible and doable for that. Like it was just a really great, solid card game. It's always held a really lovely place in my heart. It's a great game.
Aw.
Nice.
It had to
So
be on the list. Great
yeah,
pick, Raina.
yeah.
Had to.
Had to be.
Thank
Great
you
pick.
so much.
But here's the real question, Raina. Who's won more times, you or Phil?
Oh, definitely Phil. Phil's a
Okay.
really great strategic player. He used to do competitive card games, so
Oh.
I just accepted it at this
Gotcha.
point. I'm here for the ride. It's fun. Either way, win or lose.
Hell yeah.
And again, that's what we're all about here, friends, folks, on the R&R show. It's all about the experience,
Mhm.
the journey. We're okay with that. Um, let's move on to our number 6 game. Now, we have a special surprise. Richard is coming to us via video, and
Via his boat?
if you watch the extended edition, folks, we didn't think he was going to have his videos in time, but as we're doing the show live, the videos are here. So let's take a look
Wow.
at our number 6. Richard, let me see. Where are you, Richard? I'm going to click on this.
He's got good timing.
He does have great timing. Let's see. I'm going to go here. No. Richard, can you... I'm going to press the button right now, and Richard's going to start talking, hopefully, here.
Some people in chat beforehand
That
said
didn't work.
Power Grid as their favorite
Yeah, that
game
didn't
that they
work at
would
all,
win.
folks.
Yeah, couples game.
Yeah, no sound. I
Lost the
don't
thread.
know what was going on. So we're going to take 2 on this, and we're going to have... okay, we are back. Thank you, folks. This is a little choice of doing it live, friends, and doing all this last minute. I was hoping to get Richard in, but that didn't work, but that's okay, because we're just going to take 2. Yeah, we broke the internet, Gripdog, that's right.
It happens.
It happens. Yeah, let me go over here. I was hoping we could pull that off, but we weren't able to, but that's fine, because what we're going to do is do another intro to Richard, and then we'll splice in the video afterwards. Sure. Okay, so let's do this.
And we'll reveal to you, chat, what Richard's number 6 was, because I bet it was fine.
It was. It was. Okay, let me get this on screen here. And top 10 couples games. And let me... Whoops. All right, so I'm going to do the little clap so Richard has an audio mark to know where to splice that in. And All right, great. So that was our number 7. Moving on to our number 6. Richard, what do you got for us?
What did Richard have for us, Ruel?
Oh, it was great. I love Namalia. Number 6, Namalia.
Ah, yes.
Wonderful game.
Namalia.
Yeah, this was actually, I consider this for my list as well. Michelle and I, we literally just played it during the Super Bowl. We had our daughter and her boyfriend over. We introduced them to Namalia. It was a huge hit.
Aw.
Now, so that was great for 4 of us. 2 couples, but this is just strictly for couples. Michelle and I played this game a lot. It was one of my top games of last year, I believe it was, when it came out. The tile laying, just the different habitats and animals. Super cute art, super quick, and I love that cartographer style scoring where the different goals throughout each round, and then you have 2 different goals for 3 rounds. Then the final 2 rounds you have 3 goals, and they always change up. So it reminds me of cartographers, but yeah, Namalia, fantastic choice, Richard. Great choice. Raina, Ray, or Chris, any thoughts on Richard's wonderful choice, number 6?
I haven't played it before, but
Oh,
it sounds exactly like the type of game that I would love. Just the tile laying aspect of it, the variable goals, the drafting.
yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't played it.
Yeah, Raina, highly recommend. I think you would love it. It's fantastic, and it only plays in like 20 minutes. It's super quick.
Yeah, and I
Nice.
remember I saw this on I think I saw this on Twitter quite a bit, but I've yet to actually pick it up, but it definitely looks familiar to me, and it looks like a game I would like. I just have not gotten my hands on it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, same boat. I saw some people playing it at the Niagara Board Gaming Weekend, though, and you know what?
Oh,
They were laughing, they were chuckling to each other.
nice.
They were having a grand old time. I looked at them and I said, "Hey, you guys seem to be having a great time." And they said, "It's all thanks to Namalia." And they pulled it up and they all gave me big thumbs up and they cheered and they cheered. So I can only imagine it was a good one.
I love
Because of those their really effusive experience that they had.
It's always a good thing when you get cheers. When you're cheering for a game, I think that's a sign of a
Yeah.
good sign, right?
You know what? They all collectively did a victory lap around the room. They picked it up. They picked up the box above their head, and then it wasn't enough for everybody, so they all took a tile and they
Nice.
ran around and they shouted "Namalia, Namalia." It was very disruptive, but we all enjoyed it because it's a good way to get the word out.
Nice. I love that. Namalia. Okay, great. That is awesome. We're again, thank you to Richard chiming in all the way from Mexico through the power of the internet. But let's continue the list here. We're on our top 5 now, friends, and we're going to go back to Chris for our number 5.
I'm ready for number 5. I'm ready now.
Yes.
This is the enemies to lovers pick, right?
Ah,
This is if you really want to get into it. You want to cut each other off at the heels, and this is a game that I think works really, really well at 2 players. I love it at 2 players. This is my top 10 games of all time. I think this game is
oh,
an underrated gem, and it needs to come back into print. It's Barony.
Baron.
Barony. I might have talked about this game before on this show, but I think it's been a while. It's been enough that I can now talk about it again. Barony, speaking of Splendor, is by the designer of Splendor, Marc Andre, and it really feels like you take Catan with Splendor with chess or Go, and you kind of put them all up in a blender and go from there. So very similar to Splendor. It's all about action efficiency. You have 6 things that you can do on your turn, all with the goal of getting you more points. And you are going to put people on the board, move those people around, turn those people into houses, as you do with people in the land of Barony. They just erupt. They feel so passionate about the land that they turn themselves into houses, and they come back to your little supplies so you can send more people out to expand a little bit more. And when they turn into houses, they give you resources from those houses, and those resources all have a different numerical value on them. And one of the things you can do on your turn is exchange some of those resources to move up a step in your land. Basically, you need to cash in 15 points 4 times, and then that will trigger the end of the game, and whoever has the most points at that point wins. Because you can also upgrade things to give yourself a little bit of a bump on the track. But all of it is about that efficiency idea, but it is a confrontational efficiency. And that's why I think this is really, really good at 2 players, because at 3 players or at 4 players, you can kind of get into that king making it.
Mm.
scenario. It's because you can attack each other, right? I can move 2 of my knights into your house, and if you didn't have a knight there to stop me from doing that, then I can just rip your house from the land and steal a resource from you. So there is this like really head-to-head confrontation that can happen, and when you have 3 players or 4 players, it's a little bit less exciting because 2 people can just pillage one player, and you don't have the resources to combat that. However, at 2, it sings. This is my top 10 of all time. Like this is I love this game. It is so good. And this is a game that, contrary to Hanabi, my girlfriend hates and will never play with me, because it is so confrontational, and she doesn't like that sort of like skirmish styles. Well, she picks and chooses which time she likes the mechanics and not. She likes the mechanics a lot, and sometimes, and other times not at all. But it is that sort of idea of, I think games like this and games that have take that elements to it actually work really well as couples games, because you avoid that king making scenario that can happen in a larger game where you have that extended player count. Here it is a head to head thing, and so then you're always left with the idea of, okay, is attacking you going to put me closer to my goal of that efficiency puzzle, or should I take my turn and do something else with it? Will that get me closer? Right. And so balancing those 2 things I think is really fun. It's got a modular board, which is awesome, keeps the game fresh every time. You randomize the tiles. Certain tiles produce different things and have different movement restrictions. You can't move through lakes, for example, but you want your houses to be next to lakes because they spawn more people. And so just having to survey the board and have that initial placement of your locations at the beginning is really great. I absolutely love this game. And if you're a couple who doesn't mind that sort of direct confrontation, highly recommend. It might be in between print runs right now, but it's so good. It'll be around, And if it isn't, when it comes back, I'm going to say, I told you so. Go to episode 83 of the R&R show, or whichever one.
Nice.
Man,
Go ahead.
Oh, so sorry, Ro.
You're good.
I'm fascinated that one of your top 10 games of all time is a game I've literally never heard of. It's one of the reasons I love doing the show is learning about games I've never heard of before. But I'm fascinated by the Splendor X Catan X like head-to-head skirmishing game. That sounds fascinating, and I think you really nailed it with I'm the same way, where I don't particularly like skirmish games except for 1v1. It's not personal. You're just the only person there is to attack. Avoiding that king making is the only time I will enjoy those really aggressive kind of area control or territory based games. So I'll have to check this out. I've never heard of it before, but I'm very excited to learn about it.
It's great. I've only played base
also,
too. Yeah, there's an expansion, but I haven't played it.
Oh, nice.
I've never heard of this game as well. And you know what, Chris, you and I, we got beef now, because why'd you make me so interested in a game that is hard to attain?
Yeah,
It better be in
right?
Just
between
play with
prints.
me.
Thanks,
I
Chris.
think,
Bet.
I
All
mean,
right.
like, you know what? A million years ago, when I was at Origins 2022, and I stopped by, I think it's Madagot who has this, and I was by their booth, and I was like, yeah, Barony, woo, it's so good, because I was literally just excited to see it on the shelf, and the guy there was like, oh yeah, no one's even picked up the box. No, like nobody's even picked up the box this whole convention. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like. He's like, yeah, it's because the box kind of looks like generic fantasy, a bit bland.
I was gonna say it looks a little dated for sure.
Yeah.
When did it? Do you know when it was printed initially? Like when it came out? Because it
I'm not
definitely
sure.
has that like old
It
school
was like
kind of aesthetic to
2016
it.
or 2017. It was
Really?
around
Oh,
there, I want to
Would
say,
not
because
have
it was
guessed.
after Splendor. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Interesting.
I'll look it up. But yeah, it's anyway, way back then, I was like, oh, why doesn't it sell that well? It's like, it's okay. There might be a reprint coming or some point. I mean, that was way back when, and these projects could get canceled and pushed down the line or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm still holding out hope. And, and I'm like, the moment it happens, you call me because I want to shout it from the rooftops, because I think it's so good. So it might be in between print runs, or it might be hard to find, but hold out hope. Let's get the chant going.
That's awesome.
We want Barony. Let's make it happen.
Barony. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm really interested in this, Chris. Again, I've heard about this, but like Ray and Ray are talking about it, does look sort of dated, and I'm like, I just sort of like skipped right over it. But hearing your
Yeah.
description, this sounds fantastic, and I think it's not. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a game that Michelle would be interested in. But my main gaming buddy Daryl, this is definitely our type of game. We totally, would skirmish. We enjoy this type of things. As far as the you mentioned the expansion briefly. Do you know what that entails? Like what else it adds to it?
I know it was called like Witches or something
Okay.
like that. I think it probably
Witches.
adds in new units. I never saw a need for it, honestly. So I
Okay.
haven't even tried it.
Yeah,
I would try it, obviously, because I really like the game. But and I might have described it as skirmish. There's no sort of like dice rolling or anything, but it's more tactical, right? Like
Yeah.
that's where the
Sure,
go and the
sure.
chess aspect
Yeah.
of it comes in. That's sort of like controlled tactics where
Totally.
positioning matters.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be any sort of like large skirmish battles, but positioning, like blocking a space, is as important as claiming a space, right?
Right.
As you sort of maneuver around.
Okay. And you did say this
Yeah,
was
totally.
designed by Marc Andre, the designer of
Mhm.
Splendor.
2015. I just looked it up.
Okay, yeah,
Wow.
I'm Marc Andre. I think he does wonderful games. So like,
Yeah.
everyone knows him for Splendor, but this looks amazing. And if you ever played For the Majesty's Realm, is that what it's called? That game is fantastic.
Cool.
Like that one came out at the same time as Century Spice Road, and I thought that was Marc Andre's. Remember how people were talking about, hey, Century Spice Road kills Splendor?
Right.
His answer to that was For the Majesty's Realm. For the Majesty's Realm, and people didn't like that. Was totally overlooked. I think that's way better than Century Spice Road. Got to check that one out, folks, if you haven't. And
Cool.
just that's hey, there's a bonus for you. That's another great couples game for the Majesty's Realm. So there you go.
Let's get it in here. Marc Andre all day.
All day long. Okay. Why don't we move on? Thank you for that, Chris. Let's move on to Ray, who's got our number 4 game on the list. Ray, what you got for us?
So I'm coming in with another sort of experiential game. You want to call it a board game, sure, but it is more on the role-playing experience side of stuff. And this is such a classic. When I think of couples games, this is the first one I think of. This is a rom-com in a box. This is Fog of Love. I adore this game. I love rom-coms. I love dating sims. I love anything that kind of puts you in that, I don't know, in that fun role-playing space. Again, keeping with my theme, don't play this with a stranger. That would be really weird. If you do, though, tell me how it goes. Are you kissing now? Because this game will basically have you role playing a romance with one other person. Important note: it is not your romance. You are taking on the persona of these, again, sort of like rom-com style characters. There's all these like cliche, like coupling stories. Like maybe you started dating in high school and now you've been together forever, and will you break up? Won't you break up? You're basically unfolding that story together through relatively simple mechanics. You're basically just going to be going through various events in your life and deciding how you want to react to them with your own secret goals in mind. So you're going to have end goals that you want to have, like an end state of the game that you want to have. Sometimes you'll want to break up with your partner. Sometimes you want to just have everyone be as satisfied as possible. There's a bunch of different modules that you can play in this game, but the core mechanics are you're going to have a couple of different relationship kind of stats. So you're either going to be compassionate or you're going to be cold. You're going to be, kind of snooty, or you're going to be humble. I don't remember what they are off the top of my head. But as you're going through these different events, you're going to be changing your relationship dynamic, and your own personality is going to change throughout the game, and that will affect how happy your partner and you are in the relationship. And if you ever played Decorum, which is another game by this publisher, it has a similar feel where you can't explicitly tell your partner what you want out of this relationship, but through your actions and how you're kind of role playing both in and out of the game, you're supposed to try to suss out what the other person wants from this situation. And again, it's more of an experience. I'm not playing Fog of Love with you if you're here to win Fog of Love. It's a really great experience to play with your partner, to tell a story, to kind of embody a couple that's not your own for a little bit. Can be a really fun experience for an actual romantic couple. But I do think you could play this with a platonic person in your life that you're close with. Maybe just, again, not a stranger, because you are going to be picking how you want to handle intimate or like very intense, dramatic moments. But if you like board games that lead on that TTRPG side, Fog of Love is a classic rom-com board game.
Nice. This is a
Yeah,
game that
I
I've
thought this
been.
might be on your list. I know you
Yeah.
love this one.
Yeah,
I love this one.
yeah. I've yet to play it. I know so much about this game, Ray, but I haven't taken that leap forward to play it yet. I feel like Michelle would be into it, but how much does you talk about the role playing aspect of it? Is it a
Mhm.
lot more role playing than board game, or is it more board game than role playing?
It it really, I would say, is down the middle. It holds your hand a lot more than, say, something like Inhuman Conditions, where it's
Okay,
like, all right, talk to each other for 5 minutes.
yeah,
That's Inhuman Conditions.
right.
This game you can really not role play it at all outside of the choices you're making as your character. So you
Mhm.
want to pick things that are in line with your character, but you have objectives that are on paper that guide you towards those objectives. So you don't have to bring a lot of your own creativity to it. I think it's more about like if you don't derive joy from creating sort of just a social story, you won't like it. If you're just strictly a board gamer, you won't like it. But if role playing, the concept of like traditional D&D role playing makes you anxious, this is not that. You're not going to be having dialogue with your partner. You're not going to be asked to on the spot come up with something, but you're just inhabiting a character. That's really as far as that role playing aspect goes. And some people that makes them uncomfortable, but this is a nice baby step if you want to try your hand at something that is really a good mix between both mediums of board games and TTRPGs.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really want to get this to the table. I may have a copy sitting around here somewhere. But
Yeah,
uh,
it's a fun one. The only thing I will say is that it can be a little bit fiddly. There are quite a lot of like
yeah.
little bits happening, which is my one gripe with it is that the thieving and the mechanics feel like they should be so entry level, but it's like the how to play is 23 minutes long. That is like
Oh,
a long how to play for a game of this style. So that's my only I would love
wow.
for them to come out with like maybe a small travel version of it or something that's a little bit trimmed down because this is kind of a board gamer's game. Like they've got all
Yeah.
the expansions and all the but all these things that can be a little intimidating for maybe who I think the target audience of this game is supposed to be.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
that's
See,
my one gripe with it.
you know what? I would love a TikTok from Raina to explain how to play the game. That would be
Hell
my
yeah.
jam right there. Uh,
Good
This
luck getting
game
it in a
is
minute, but
yeah. Right.
if anyone
I
can do it, Raina
know.
can do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
This game is fantastic. It feels like a choose your own adventure type of game. You know, the ones that we used to play
Totally.
like on our apps or mobile phones all the time. I will say this is not for the weak relationships. And what I mean by that is if you have the type of personality where you know, you have a dream that your partner cheats on you and you wake up and you're actually really upset with them.
Oh.
Um, this will be like an
Oh.
exercise and like it's like exposure therapy because
For
you
sure.
will come across some conflict for sure and you really have to detach yourself from the
Wow.
character that you are playing as.
Yeah.
That's
That's
good to
why I
know.
wanted
Yeah.
to like do that disclaimer of like it's not your relationship and it is something you have to
Yeah.
constantly remind yourself I am playing Mary. I'm not myself. You are not you. You
Yeah.
are someone else because it does put you in that if you do really get into it and you are with your romantic partner, 100% it could be exposure therapy is a great way to describe it. Absolutely.
That is good to know.
Well, I'll promise you this, Ruel. I've never played it as well, but you and I can play it together. And
Oh.
before it begins, I'll make sure to search through those cards and get the goal to make sure you and I are both incredibly satisfied. I think those were the
Yes.
words that Ray used. I want
Yes,
to make
that's
sure
the
that
terminology.
I think we both win. We will both win as long as we're
I
both
would pay so
very
much money to
satisfied.
watch the two of you play that game. Please, dear God.
I
That'd
think
be
that's
so funny.
you heard it here first, folks. Right here on the R&R Show, Chris and I, we're gonna win that game, and we will win the hearts of all of
Love
you
that.
We
as
will
well.
win it. We will win our hearts.
Nice. All right, great call, Ray. Yeah, I'm super excited to actually give this one a shot. So thank you for that. Let's move on. We've got
Yeah.
our top 3 remaining, folks. Our best couples games. Number 3 is going to be to me. And if you saw our extended edition of the show, I talked about this one. And click on the links below to find out what I said about this game. It's our number 3 best couples game. This is probably for me and Michelle. Is probably our number 1 game that we played together. Not only the most, but the one that we enjoy the most. It is Patchwork. This is a Uwe Rosenberg game about making quilts, and I've always loved it because it was one of the first games I got many years ago that was like not typical like sci-fi fantasy or whatever. I mean, we're building quilts. I mean, how different is that? And this is a brilliant one that Michelle and I, we learned from this game, the biggest thing we learned is that we love tile laying games, and this is a brilliant one. You lay tiles down, trying to make your quilt. You're trying to cover all those squares, and of course, it's going to be really impossible because all the shapes are funky and different. And the thing that I really love about this game is the economy. The currency in the game are the little buttons, and as you go around, this is Richard's playthrough from many years ago. There are certain spots on the board where you're going to get income, basically, which are those buttons. And those buttons, you use those to purchase new pieces to your quilt. And as you can see there, they are all different sizes. You're trying to lay them down perfectly because, in typical Uwe Rosenberg fashion, you're gonna have a lot of negative scores in this game. So any open space is going to be worth a -2 points. So you're trying to fill those all up, and it is tough. It is such a nice, I mean, I wouldn't call it brain burny, but it's definitely a thinky game. And one thing that I learned from Michelle right off the bat was that getting that income is really crucial to having any kind of success in this game, because you want those buttons to purchase things, because if you don't have income, you could always pass, and passing is fine, because as you pass, all the spots that you pass, you're going to get income for that. Like if I leap ahead 4 spots, then I'm going to get 4 buttons, which is great because I'm going to get pieces. But at the same time, now my opponent, it's their turn, and if they're they're behind you by so many spaces, they're going to have opportunities to take a couple of turns in a row. So it's kind of sort of like that Tokaido thing too, where person in last sort of has an advantage. I absolutely love this game, and Uwe Rosenberg went on to do like a trilogy of other tile laying games like Cottage Garden, Indian Summer, and so forth. And of course, the big one, Piece of Odin. But this one to me is so great because it's so easy to get to table. Because the rules, really, there's not much. It's like, do you know Tetris? Then we're going to play Tetris right now, but we're going to throw in some buttons as well, and we're going to see who can fill up their quilts by the end of the game. Hopefully, you'll score the most points. But gosh, I love this game so much. That's why it's our number 3 on our collective list of best couples games, Patchwork.
I knew it would be on your list. You love Patchwork, Ruel. You're the Patchwork champ.
Yes, I love it so much. Now it's there are other tile laying games that are terrific that are out there. And again, folks, if you click on the links below for the extended edition, I'm going to reveal a couple of other tile laying games that work great for couples. But this one, for whatever reason, is just so near and dear to my heart because, again, I got into the hobby not many moons ago, but about 7 years ago, and this one was relatively new at the time. And I was so excited because I can honestly tell y'all that I have no other quilting games in my collection. So this is the one, and I love it so much. I play it online all the time on BGA. There's also an app, but for me, OG Patchwork, it's always going to be a hit. It's an evergreen for me. What about y'all? Do you have any experiences with Patchwork or any of the Uwe Rosenberg tile laying games?
Yeah, I feel like this is the quintessential two-player game, honestly. Like if you held a gun to my head and you're like, quick, name a two-player game, it'd be Patchwork every time.
Yeah.
And this is a game that I actually see a lot online where people are asking for advice about, I'm trying to get my partner into board games. What should I start with? Patchwork is one of the ones that's talked about the most frequently because, like you said, it's a familiar mechanic. Most of us have played Tetris and know how it plays before, but then you just gamify it a little bit. And I think it's great.
Yeah, that familiarity of like Tetris, right? I think that goes a long way because when I remember introducing Michelle, I just said Tetris and her eyes lit up because she's always playing Tetris on her phone. She's like, "What, Tetris board game? Yeah, there it is." And yeah, it's been a winner in our household ever since.
That's awesome. I love Uwe Rosenberg and those spatial puzzles. As I mentioned in a previous episode, Feast for Odin's one of my favorite games, and this kind of takes that little thing that you do out in your Viking yard and just makes that the whole game. And so what is not to love about Patchwork?
Agreed.
Patchwork, I'm consistently horrible at. I'm a good board gamer. I am not when I play Patchwork.
We all have that one game where
it's the game in the pre-show we talked about the game that you would guaranteed win. This is the game I guaranteed lose.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Chris, let's play this game sometime. I would love to.
Yeah. You want to feel good about yourself? Play me in Patchwork. That's the secret of life and happiness.
Nice. Nice.
It's like,
Okay,
how'd
we've
you get
got.
negative 84 on that?
Mm.
I just passed. I just passed.
And what's funny is like I know I've won and I've lost games where I've had negative scores, like right because
Yeah.
it can be pretty punishing if you don't get the right pieces at the right time, and it's like I'll tell you something. It does feel good to win. Like, hey, I've only got -2, you've got -30. Like I win. Like even though it's negative score, it still feels good to win.
Totally.
Let's move on to our number 2, Raina, our special guest. This has got a number 2. What do you have for us?
This game is very near and dear to my heart. My husband and I have a lot of good memories of playing this game in bed, using like a poster board as a table and having to whisper so we don't wake up our roommates. And speaking of Ruel, you said that with patchwork, there's a familiar aspect of Tetris. With this game, I always like to call it Battle Yahtzee, and that is Dice Throne.
Yes.
Now, this game I think can play at least up to 4 players, possibly even more, but I just love the head-to-head 2-player version of it. The basic gameplay of this is that you chuck a bunch of dice, and then you get 2 rerolls, and you're trying to complete classic Yahtzee hands. So you have 2 pairs, or straight, or large straight, or Yahtzee, or all 6s. And you're playing as a certain character, and there's a bunch of different ones that you can play as. So that's what really gets great with the asymmetry. And then you're trying to just whittle your opponent down to 0 health points. It's also great because you have your personal player board, and you can actually upgrade your different attacks and your different defenses. Each of the players or each of the characters also has different not only play styles but difficulty. So if you are playing against someone who hasn't really played this that much, you can give them a lower difficulty level and giving yourself a higher difficulty level, so it's interesting for the both of you. And this is great. They have so many different iterations and characters of it out. There's season 1, there's season 2, there's Marvel Dice Throne, and there's also, if you enjoy it so much, there's a Dice Throne Adventure, so it's a cooperative sort of campaign game. This game also has one of the most active and large fan bases I've ever seen. I'm a part of the Dice Throne community on Facebook, and that it's always popping off in there. So this is
Yeah.
great. I love this game.
Yeah, this is so good. You described it perfectly, Raina. 2 words: Battle Yahtzee. That's what
all you
exactly
need.
this is.
Yeah.
And you weren't kidding about a passionate fan base. Oh my gosh! Like I've seen that passionate fan base. They love this game, and it's so cool. All the different IPs that are involved with it now. And I believe, Chris, there was wasn't there a World Series of Board Gaming tournament?
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
going on?
We had the National Dice Throne
Dang.
Championships at WSBG last year. It was
Yeah.
cool. We got to live stream it. I got to see their picks because like the tournament setting is really cool. You bring in three characters, and then your opponent bans one. So you're like, okay, here are the 3
Ooh, that's
characters that I'm going to
cool.
play,
Yep.
and then you ban one, and you have to win with both of your characters that are left as well. So it's
Very
like
cool.
so people were trying to like out meta each other. They're like, yeah, this one always gets banned, so that's why I'm bringing this in so that they ban it, so that I actually get to keep these
Oh
2
my
and
god.
play it
Nice.
that way. So like that was really cool. I think Raina, you hit it 100%. It's a 2-player game. It's nothing.
Yep.
It's not any other thing other than a 2-player game. It is a 2-player game, 100%. But it is a great 2-player game for sure.
Yeah. I got a
Yeah,
confession. The first time I
absolutely.
played Dice Throne, I hated it. I hated it, and here's why.
Really?
My
Here's
girlfriend
why.
hates it.
Because we played I think it was a 5-player battle royale game.
Ah.
I was like, "There's no way." And then, that scarred me for a couple of months. I came back to it as a 2-player game, loved it. I was like, "Okay, this is the way it should be." So yeah, it's a fun game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm devastated because my girlfriend doesn't like Dice Throne at all, and honestly, it's grounds for separation.
There
Have
you
that
go.
come up in Fog
There
of
you go.
Love and see what happens. I think it's irreconcilable.
Yeah,
Personally,
the event card is your partner doesn't like your favorite board game.
yeah,
What do you
yeah.
do?
You leave them. That's what you do. You get gone.
Oh my gosh. All right. Cool.
Happy
So,
Valentine's Day.
yeah, that's it exactly here on the R&R Show. Let's see what Richard's got for us for our number 1 couples game. Take it away, Richard.
Now, what did?
And so again, let me give the little audio cue for Richard. That's where the video is going to go. Richard, for number 1, chose Cascadia. Okay.
Good one.
Okay, nice.
Great choice, Richard. I love Cascadia. Again, another game that Michelle and I absolutely adore, and it was one of my favorite games of 2023, I believe, or was it 2022? Time has no meaning. But we love tile laying games, and this one is special. It's got that dual tile lane that I love. You know, you have your habitats and you have your animal tokens that you try to line up. There's different things. I just recently got into the landmarks expansion, and that one, for people who are in the heavier games, that think Cascadia is too light, definitely get that landmarks expansion because it adds a few things that really make it a little more crunchy. But yeah, I love Cascadia. What about y'all? Thoughts about number one, Cascadia?
I love Cascadia. I will poke at Richard a little bit in that I don't know for two players that it is like it's not a distinctive two-player experience in my mind,
Hmm.
but I do love Cascadia. It's one of my favorite tiling games. It's one of my favorite little pick up and go games. I played this when I went to Europe with my mom recently. We took all the tokens in a little bag and we played it on the plane, and it was just delightful. And yeah, Cascadia is great. I wouldn't necessarily call it like a two-player definitive experience, but I know Richard only plays games like with his wife, so I can understand where he's coming from with that.
Totally.
Yeah, fun fact, Cascadia is one of the, I believe, 7 games that has won both the Spiel and the BGG Golden Geek Game of the Year award.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's for good
that's
reason.
true.
It's definitely really great, and I think it's one of when I think of Cascadia, I think of the other games, that's also by the Flat Out and AEG duo, which is, Calico and Verdant,
Mhm.
and
yes.
Mhm.
Cascadia remains my favorite out of the 3. It's a great
Totally.
contemplative experience, and, you know, they have different, like, scoring objectives, so the game doesn't get stale, you can really just keep going,
Yep.
and it's beautiful. What else could you ask for?
I
Yeah.
agree, Raina. I'm glad you brought that up. Calico, Verdant, those are terrific games. But for whatever reason, Cascadia is the one that hits the hardest with me. I love how there's a reason why it won those awards, right? It's just so easy to get to the table, yet there's enough strategy there to satisfy any gamer, I think.
Yeah, I think for me it's close. I think I like Verdant more. I think
Okay.
I Verdant just edges it out. I
Really?
haven't played Calico, but I've played
Mm.
Cascadia and Verdant. Although the last game of Cascadia, it was at 2 players and it was really cooking. It was
Nice.
really cooking, and I
Nice.
was like, "Uh oh, you're coming back now." I think it's also Verdant is the game that my girlfriend likes to play the same game over and over again, and I like to play a lot of different games. But so that's her current one that she's been requesting, as we've been playing it a bunch recently.
Awesome.
So I've been enjoying it. But yeah, both that whole, I know Calico is great because I've heard great things about it. I like all of
It's
that.
crunchy.
Yeah,
Calico's such a different experience from
yeah,
Cascadia.
Totally. Totally. Yeah.
It's wild. I mean, I understand why people make the comparison between those two games all the time, obviously, but like
yeah.
they're such different experiences in my
Cool.
mind.
So good. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
what
I'm
they've
excited
got
to
in the
try it.
water
But
up
yeah,
there,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
they're creating some great games up in the Pacific
Oh my god,
Northwest.
yeah.
But yeah, friends, that's our top 10 the couples games. Be sure to click the links below to find the extended edition. We're going to talk about a bunch more. So is Richard. Raina, I want to thank you on behalf of Ray and Chris and Chris with the Hearts. I want to thank you so much for joining us, my friend. It's been great talking to you and learning about games and learning about you as well.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really wonderful hanging out with you 3 and hope to do it in person sometime.
Yeah,
hmm
let's do it for sure. Okay, that's going to be it, folks. Thanks again for watching the R&R Show, episode 83. Until next time, we'll talk to you later. So long. See ya. Bye-bye. And hello, we're back. Yay, for
we're
the
back.
post-show. Yes. Let me hit these things.
Scott, sailing it. Thanks for the sub in the interim. I couldn't
Yes.
shout you out, but now we're shouting you out right now.
Thank you, friend. Appreciate that. And thanks to all of you who subscribed. Zen for One, I saw earlier. Goblin, Feltfan. Really appreciate your support. Again, now you can
Mhm.
enjoy this experience ad-free. And you get all kinds of benefits as well. You get discounts on Rahdo's merch. You get a special playlist. All you have to do is whisper Rahdo right now. Go whisper and say, hey, I'd like to see the special playlist. Every month he puts together about 20 videos that are not available to the public. So you get exclusive access for that for the month. We got about 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Richard's little video here. And we're just going to talk about some other games. Then we'll go around real quick and talk about the games that did not make the list. Let's go to Richard right now. What you got for us, Richard?
Okay, post-show time. what was I going to put on the list? I'm pretty sure my number one, which would have been the number one on the list, and my number was my number 5, I guess, or my number 4. No, I think it'd be my number 5, or maybe it's the number 6. Regardless, what my number 1 would have been Cascadia, if somebody else has not already taken that yet. My thinking about this list was a couple of things. I wanted to make sure that I kept 2-player only games off the list because I was trying to come up with things that are really universal, because I mean, I don't know what a given couple I'm making a recommendation to likes, and Cascadia doesn't get much more universally appealing than that. Also, I didn't want to limit to only 2 players because, hey, if this is a new gamer couple, they're going to want to start playing games with their friends. And if they're getting 2-player only games, they can't play with their friends. So I stayed away from 2-player only. I also, sadly, stayed away from co-ops, even though I think those are often the best, because there are so many couples out there that often don't want to play co-op. I never understand that. Like Starla of Our Family Plays Game, Mick and Starla, she famously does not like co-ops. Amy from Amy and Maggie generally stays away from co-ops. So I was trying to be as broadly, universally appealing as possible while still coming up with games that will work fantastically for a new gaming couple. And I don't think there's any better choice than Cascadia. That was high on my list. Some other ones I was thinking about, Nemalia probably would have been my other entry because I think it's fantastic too. So much fun to play. Introduction to a bunch of different mechanisms. I know Ruel is a big fan of it, just like me. Tiny Towns also would probably make my short list for the same reason I've just talked about. If I was putting co-ops, of course I'd put Pandemic on the list, or I'd put Roll Camera. I think would be a very, very high one as well. So anyway, we gotta go. We gotta walk all the way down to those buildings over there where people are getting ready for the whale watching tour even as we speak. So hope everybody had a good show, and I'll go into a bit more detail about these things later on tonight so I can edit it in for the YouTube broadcast of this on Wednesday. But I just wanted to give you some idea of what I was thinking here in the post show. Okay, everybody, talk to you later. So long, bye-bye.
All right, thank you, Richard. Much appreciated. Yeah, as you saw, Nemalia and Cascadia, he talked about Tiny Towns. I love Tiny Towns. That is such a great game.
Yeah.
I prefer that with a lot more players, but I can see how it would go for couples as well. Yeah, that is so good.
Yeah, I'm glad we got that history of like why he picked the games he did. So now I have to go back and retract my statement about saying Cascadia is not a definitive 2-player game. Well, now that I know why with his criteria, it all makes sense now. So I retract my statement, making fun of Richard.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ray. No, I was just gonna make a joke, so it doesn't matter. We don't have time for jokes.
I was just gonna say I am fascinated by the Tiny Towns pick because I find Tiny Towns very aggressive with 2 people. I don't know if other people play Tiny Towns the way that we
100%.
play Tiny Towns,
Yeah.
but the hate drafting that we do in Tiny Towns is disgusting. And when it's just 2 players, there's only one person to hate draft.
Yeah.
And it is, I cannot play this game with my partner. We very heavily lean into the, you don't like wheat? Oh, you're not building any houses that need wheat? Oh, let me just give you some wheat. Like, we will flood each other with resources. That is how we play Tiny Towns. And when it's just 2 people, it's brutal. When it's more than that, you can kind of lose track of what other people are using and doing. But when it's locked in like that, oh my goodness, it's very aggressive in my household.
That's true. I love that. Nice. What about game set? So we've got a few minutes. We're gonna get going. We're gonna raid another channel, folks. We'll just go quickly here. Raina, were there any other couples games that you wanted to highlight that didn't make this list, or?
Yeah, I think one game that I'd love to highlight that I don't think is talked about very often is this game called War Chest. It's published by AEG.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's very chess. It's like a bag building abstract strategy game. So you have these 4 different units, and they all do different things. Some of them are range attacks. Some of them are, just melee attack. And your goal is to control these different outposts around the board. So you're just maneuvering around the board, trying to destroy your opponent's units and get yours out there. But you also throughout the game, you're going to build your bag so you see which units you want to really invest in. And so there's the luck aspect of like, what am I going to get on my next turn? But then you're really just trying to do as much as you can with it. And it's really great. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of different units that come with the base game. So what Phil and I like to do is we draft them at the beginning of the round, or beginning of the game, so we can really see what kind of synergies we build.
Nice. Oh, great choice. It's been a while since I played War Chest. I need to play that again. I don't know why I always forget about that game. It's fantastic. It's a great game. Good call, Raina. I want to highlight one real quick. Actually, two real quick. And Chris, I'm taking this one away from you. I'm assuming you might have been on your list, but great couples games, Lost Cities from the Good Doctor, Dr. Ryder Knizia. No,
It wasn't on my list.
Okay.
It wasn't on my list.
Okay.
And I knew it would be on yours.
Yeah, I love Knizia. Got to throw one in there. The other one that I want to mention,
That's
I
awesome.
alluded to this, was a tile laying game called Project L. Project L is an awesome tile laying game, especially when you add the expansions. It adds like a currency and some in-game goals. Love it so much. Those are the choices that I would have gone for couples games. Chris, Ray?
Yeah, I had one that I also wanted to shout out was Unfair. That's one that I play a lot with with my girlfriend who really likes that confrontation.
Yeah.
Wait, no, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. I take it back. We have to play with the rules that you can't target each other with your event cards. But I still do it anyway, because there are some things where you just need to target each other, especially in a 2-player game. If you're playing with like the Alien set, one of the blueprints gives you 99 points. It's very unfair, and so you need to be able to take that away from someone, or else you lose the game. But again, that's sort of that idea, which I talked about with Barony, that idea of the take that nature of some of these games, I think works really, really well at a 2-player, because then it isn't as personal. It's you're either building yourself up or putting your opponent down, and both are equally viable options. So I love Unfair. I think that's a great game. Verdant, it's funny that Cascadia came up, because Verdant was there, just as, again, shout out to my girlfriend. And also Wingspan. I try to think about the things that I play. I play with Renee, and those I was going to include those if I had more spots, but I didn't. So they're here in the post show, where only the bravest of the brave dare venture.
Very nice. Thank you, Chris. What about you, Ray? Anything that didn't make the list here?
Yeah, I had a couple just in terms of just really good 2-player games. Again, I went with like more couplesy. I really leaned into the couplesy thing, but if I'm just talking strictly favorite 2-player games, I mean, Wingspan Asia is fantastic. Targi is very good. I like Odin's Raven, Hive, and then my favorite of my favorite all-time 2-player games is Seven Wonders Duel. I will play that game all day, every day. I friggin' love Seven Wonders Duel.
So good.
But yeah, again, didn't put it on my list because my partner and I get very mean to each other in that game as well. So it's a little bit of a relationship breaking game. But yeah, those are all the other ones. If we're expanding into other types of couples, those are some of my favorite 2-player games.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Folks, we're out of time right now. We're going to go raid another channel. Before we get going, though, I want to thank Raina again for taking time out of her busy day. Folks, she is busy doing things at Pandasaurus and elsewhere. Raina, again, thank you so much for spending some time with us. If there's anything you'd like to plug or say before you get going, now is the time to do it.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. I think it was really fun to talk with y'all about 2-player games. For those of y'all who don't know me, my name is Raina. I make TikTok content at 1 Minute Board Games, and I also do full-time marketing work for Pandasaurus. So I'm just happy to be here. If you're going to be at Gamma or Gen Con, or if you're in Southern California, you're going to be at OrcCon this weekend, come and say hi. And I hope y'all have a great Valentine's Day and a great week of gaming.
Nice. Thank you, Raina. And Chris and Ray, any final thoughts before we raid someone?
Ray?
Is that your final thought?
My final thoughts are always about Ray. This is a confession. It's Valentine. It's Valentine's Day. I gotta get this off my chest. We'll cut. We'll raid right here. It'll be a to be continued.
No.
It'll be a to be continued.
Real quick rapid fire stuff for me. I work for the Op. You can find me over on the Op social medias doing stuff with their games. And I also have my own Twitch channel where I stream every Sunday. We play retro games. Right now I'm playing the single most cursed entry in all of the Sims franchise, which is the console port of The Sims 2. We're playing the story mode and having a very chaotic time. And then in between games of that, I'm also playing for the very first time Castlevania Symphony of the Night with my good friend Jamie Daggers. It's one of her favorite games of all time, so she is holding my hand through that experience. So come hang out with me afternoon Eastern times on Sundays.
Nice.
And you've already heard my final thoughts. Just wait. You know what?
Great.
If there's a bit, I've got to lean into it.
Yes.
That's what has to
Gotta
happen.
commit.
It
I
was
respect it.
the law that was passed down to me by my forefathers, and if I break it, I get cursed by a demon. Yeah, come check me out on YouTube, Room and Board. Go to the World Series of Board Gaming because it's a friendly, fun place, and I work there, and I work hard to make it so. And if it stops being friendly, I'll quit.
There it
There you
is,
go.
folks. You heard it here
Sounds
first.
good.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you, friends, for hanging out with us today. We're going to raid the Tabletop Live Network. They're talking about games that they just played last month as their monthly recap. Want to thank again everyone here. Thanks to Richard. Be safe out there. And folks, be kind to each other, be kind to yourselves, and have a great week of gaming. We'll see you back here on the R&R Show real soon. All right. Take care. So long. Bye-bye. The raid is started. And let's see if we were getting there. Boom, 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 boom. And did we raid? That's the
I
question.
think we did.
Did we?
I'm sorry.
I see it on
Goblin
my
is
end.
saying that he thinks Rahdo worked on The Sims.